Hello. I'm early for once. Can you hear me? Hi, Ocean. Hi, Anders. Hi, Detective. Beth of a Salesman. Gem in the Mud. Bill. Let's see who's here. Greg. Ocean Sounds. Hi. Hi, Paul. Hi, Monique. Disney Mom. Maybe Disney Mom's not here anymore. Hey, Lutheros. Hey, Alexa. Hi, Nicole. Oh, good. I'm glad you're here, Nicole. I originally picked Thursdays in part because I know you're more likely to be around. Hey, Betty. Hi, Quietly Judging. Hi, Kel. Yeah. Hey, Kitten Pusher. A to B. All the besties are here. Oh, good. Disney Mom is here too. Hey, Ken, too. How are you? Hey, Aaron. I'm wearing two different earrings, so don't judge. Here to judge. Um, Hi. I hope everyone has had a nice week. I have very little to report, really. Let me know if, give me a one if you're into Heuermann. I haven't seen it yet, so I thought we could watch it together. And a two if you're not. If there are more twos, then well, I have other options for us, of course. I mean, there are assholes all over this country, so and other countries. Hey, hairball. Yeah, the weather has been strange. I mean, I'm sure the weather's been stranger for you, Ken, because I've been, kind of staying within a 5 block radius. Oh, good. I'm glad well, then never mind, Nicole. This is as intended. Okay, we got a one. We got a one. We got a two. Of course, I would expect nothing less from Beth of a Salesman. Betty, really? Are you've not heard of the Gilgo serial killer? I mean, it's possible, totally possible. I couldn't believe how many of you, uh, Rex Heuermann. You know what? We're gonna watch it. We're gonna start watching it. We'll see how it is. Rex Heuermann is the Gilgo Beach, uh, Long Island serial killer, and for years, I mean, in my opinion, he has probably. I think they've got him on 761 pending, maybe. I'm not sure exactly because I haven't been keeping up that much recently. I paid a lot more attention to it before they caught him and a little, and of course, right after they did. But he, I think he's been a very prolific serial killer for probably 30 years, if not longer. But for whatever reason, they didn't, hey, Mal, they didn't really feel that it was worth their time to investigate too hard. Oh yeah, I agree, Nicole. I mean, I think there are probably hundreds of women and men and children. I mean, he had a type that he would prefer, it seems, but he also did not discriminate. He was all over the place. I mean, no, I shouldn't say that. I think it's mostly sex workers. He had definitely. I mean, he's just one of these sick fucks. I don't know what to tell you. And I think they arrested someone. One of the women who he was suspected of having murdered. Hey, Anne. Thank you for your comment on the Head and Nussbaum video. All of your comments, actually. Um, Oh, I'm glad he's better now. And congratulations on your son getting married, Betty. I'm only surprised just because this case has been around for a long time now. But it'll either be familiar to you or you were lucky enough to have missed this one because it's horrible, obviously. Um, anyway, they arrested someone who it was this woman Peaches who they couldn't identify for a long time. And I believe they called her Peaches because she had a tattoo of peach. Her baby also disappeared. Very cute baby, of course. And I don't know if they're reinvestigating the investigation, but they're not so sure that the guy. I think he was either an ex-boyfriend or her baby daddy. Does anyone know about this? Was arrested, but now they're like, maybe not. Who's sleeping in the basement? Yeah, Phil. She is. That's a survivor. Definitely a sick guy. I'm glad they finally caught and convicted him. Yeah. I mean, hi, Corgi mom. It Hey, Auntie Trishy. It really took them a very long time for this. And, unfortunately, she's no longer with us. But it was her name will come to me, the woman who they suspected he had also killed. I actually don't think he did kill her. But Shannon something, it'll come to me. Her mother, she was a sex worker, and her mother was, I think, made this happen really because she would not shut up. Hey, Josue, thank you. Interesting that it's so interesting what we've all heard about. Hey, Twisted. Um, hey, Enwa. Yeah, I am glad too, Enwa. I mean, the whole thing is, of course, terrible, and um, thank you, Alexa. What I was going to say is that it's amazing to me that there are some of us who don't know the Gilgo Beach thing because it's been a, I mean, like ID had a lot of series about it or whatever, mostly about this Shannon. I'll look it up. And her mother and her sister, and they were trying to get justice. They wanted to know, and as I said, I actually don't think that he killed her. She was very troubled, and there was a lot going on there. He may have, but the way they found her body, but it was in the same area, and the point was still made that what are you doing? The whole thing is so weird. And that doctor who they were approaching, did you ever see that doctor they approached at the car who they think might have something to do with it? And he fakes a heart attack. I mean, the whole thing is a mess. But I was really surprised that almost everybody knew they had a Nussbaum case because very few people I know even here. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm not sure about that, but very a lot of people don't know that case, and obviously it hasn't been getting much coverage in the last 30 years or whatever it is. The murderation started probably, I mean, at least 30 years ago, but they didn't start looking into it until 10, 15 years ago, maybe a little more, on and off. It was a very slow start. Yeah, I'm glad he's in his forever home too. And I'm kind of glad that he took a plea actually. I'm always a little, I mean, as long as the sentence is fair, and what's fair in my opinion, because that's all that matters, and we all agree always on those things, I'm fine with that. Um, you're welcome, Kel. There's no need to waste time and money and energy on watching these assholes have their trials. But and also it's usually pretty depressing, and I'm sure this will be a little depressing too. But what I like about this judge, from what I've seen in the snippet I saw, is that he really, I mean, obviously he hates, he can't stand Rex Heuermann. And then those of you who don't know who he is, when you see him, you'll be struck by what a handsome fella he is. He's an actual ogre. It's quite something. Um, Gilbert, thank you, Ocean. Shannon Gilbert, thank you. And actually, the story is crazy. Her mother, there was a lot going on in that family. And her mother was, in my opinion, or from what I could tell, really spearheaded this entire investigation. Finally, hey, Bossy Tuba. Yeah. Um, Finally got some action on this because, and it sounded so complicated when they would like pontificate about the possibilities, and there were all kinds of like conspiracy theories, and they thought that some of the authorities were involved, and it really did sound that way because, but apparently it was just this one dude. So but Shannon Gilbert's mother was really instrumental in this, and unfortunately she did not live to see him arrested because she was killed by another daughter of hers who was also very mentally ill. She stabbed her to death. So yeah, I'm going to start calling this live Feel Good Thursdays. Oh, you're in Minnesota. Somehow I didn't know that. Or if I did, I forgot. It's like a famous story here in Minnesota about the abduction and murder of an 11-year-old boy. It's a boy, right? Yeah. Jacob Wetterling. I know that case very well. That is so crazy. Whose killer was arrested and jailed decades later. He pled guilty, jail for life. But didn't the mother, wasn't it the mother? Somebody knew. Somebody had suspected it was him, right? That guy who they finally arrested. Hi, unapologetically a problem. This judge, you think? I don't even know this judge's name, or I forgot it also. Oh, shit, oh, no, I don't have top chat option here, so I'm all right, I think. Yeah. Hey, Magical Money Girl. I think, yeah, which part of the story? The Shannon Gilbert's mother or the Wetterling? Yeah, me too. There's so many of them. It's crazy. Like, when you start to look at cold cases, it's just wow. Yeah, take your meds. Don't kill your mother. Hey, Karen. Yeah, it is very sad. What a shame. I mean, on every level, it's sad. Like, cops knew. Okay, so the cops knew, and I don't know. I remember seeing a woman who was, I don't know, she had figured it out somehow. I don't know if she was like a private investigator or, hey, A to B. Yeah. There's that other case in Minnesota, something, who's in, she's a, why do I start talking before I know that I can't say what that nothing's going to come out good? She was a news reporter, newscaster. And she had one of those very like, those names, like Wuzen's Hausen something. But never mind. That's all I got for you on that one. You're welcome. That's so crazy. So fucking disgraceful. Yeah. Yeah, when kids go missing when you're a kid, it's really scary. I mean, in your area especially, like, and that was really that, I mean, obviously, when a child goes missing, it's always horrible and it's always scary, but there was something about that in particular, that story that was really terrifying. So let's start watching this and we'll see, you know, what wife knew nothing. Now I lost it. Unapologetically a problem. Jody Husenstruth. Thank you. In Iowa, just like I said, Inwa. What's your point? I thought it was Minnesota. Probably based mainly on her name. I'm betting 1,000. Hey, care for. Yeah. Thank you, Austin. I agree, Chris Best, but it's not going to happen. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Every once in a while, someone says something like that to me, like we're just sitting around talking, and I love that because that's exactly how I feel. And then sometimes I think, well, maybe that's not, I don't know, like maybe whatever. Good. I'm glad because that's how I want it. Oh, you mean okay, Heuermann's wife. Yeah, I don't think she knew. A lot of wives don't know, and it's very hard for us to imagine because we are suspicious by nature. And because when you look at this, once it's already been solved, finally, it's like, how would she not know? But and also I will say, the true crime types like us, I mean, I suspect everyone on my block and in my building of being a serial killer. So for me, it's like, how would you not know that? I've already collected DNA from all of the people who live in my building. Yeah, me too. Oh, thanks, Hairball Yarn. I don't know why. I think the first time I saw you, Hairball Yarn, was on Hear Me Out's chat, and I always misread. I always think the names are different in that chat for whatever reason, and always want to call you Hairballin, which doesn't make any sense. But thank you. Just crafting while listening, making a scrapbook of pictures from my medieval activities, like festivals. I am a little jealous. The closest I've come is Oktoberfest, but my friends and I have discussed the possibility, hey, Charles, of getting medieval. I'd like to see some of that. I like the outfits, obviously. Is there any other reason to go other than to get dressed up like a maiden or a wench or whatever? Oh, I think he's doing great, don't you? I'll tell you what though, and this I'm glad you brought this up because one of the things that came up in some of the discussions and just what some of us probably thought about in the Hedda Nussbaum thing is that, Joel Steinberg and in that Larry King interview, he asks her about how she thinks it went for him in prison and she said what we all think, which is, people don't take kindly to the criminals who committed crimes against children, but he was an attorney And attorneys are treated pretty well in prison because they're helpful. And that Stephen McDaniels was also an attorney. I mean, he had just I don't know if he had passed the bar or just graduated law school, but he'd still be with his bug eyes and his crazy face. Thank you, Karen. I think I'd have to be a wife, though. And Emily, I don't know how many times I have to tell you to get your priorities straightened out. Hi. Um, oh, the bike path killer was also crazy. That was the guy who, I mean, they caught him eventually, right? But he was just living in the community, and I don't know how exactly they got him, but I remember they had like a composite drawing or something. I mean, they're all terrible. I don't know why I'm so sure. I'm like, oh, that was really bad. They're all terrible. Okay, let me start this before I'm just talking my head off. He was a law student alongside Lauren, right? Yeah. Well, she's an attorney, really, at this point. She should be. So we're all attorneys compared to her.
Defense request.
Let me know how this sounded.
Also number 2 for conference, Dennis Brandis Tercios, June 22nd.
Correct.
Number 4 for VOP hearing, Anthony Sands.
July 23rd, defense request.
Number 3 on for sentencing, Rex Heuermann.
Let's get him out.
Rex. I like this judge. I love that.
Actually, you know what? While we're waiting for the defendant to be brought out,
Hey,
the
forever.
Office of Court Administration requires me to read the following. Before we proceed, the court is in receipt of numerous applications from media and press agencies seeking permission to video record and/or photograph today's proceeding. The court is mindful of the significant public interest in this matter and the important role of the press in ensuring transparency and public access to the judicial process. At the same time, the court must ensure full compliance with New York law governing media coverage of court proceedings, and the court is duty-bound to safeguard the integrity of these proceedings. Accordingly, the court will permit limited media access as follows. One pool video camera from News 12 and one pool still photographer from Newsday will be allowed to record and photograph the proceedings. The camera persons, Mr. Ryan and Mr. Carbone, have been expressly advised that they are under order of the court to promptly disseminate the videos and photographs that are obtained herein to any and all members of accredited media agencies upon their request. It is the court's understanding that relatives of victims in this case will be addressing the court this morning. If any person does not wish to be recorded or photographed during the address to the court, please notify the court immediately, and the court will direct the camera persons to turn off their equipment. Camera persons are directed to abide by the following conditions. Now, I've been advised by both sides that there is no one who does not wish to be recorded. Is that correct, Mr. Tierney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Fixed cameras positions, no panning and no view of gallery, blurred out gallery. No close-ups of victims during impact statements. No flash or supplemental lighting. No audio recording of off-record matters, private conversations, sidebars, or other court proceedings. Pool sharing required, compliance with all court officer instructions. Like any other case, no one else here or in the overflow courtroom is permitted to film, tape, audio record, photograph, or otherwise record today's proceeding. This determination reflects the court's efforts to balance the public's right of access with the legal requirement prohibiting coverage of testimonial proceedings, as well as the need to preserve the fairness, dignity, and orderly administration of justice.
Hey, Marie, I have been to both of those places many times. Well, I've been to Winnipeg many times. I looked up Miss Turnbull, and I see what you're saying. I feel like she might look more like his wife, but they are strikingly similar considering he and his wife. I mean, not really, but you know.
What the hell is that?
No AC. What's wrong with you?
We got it. Thanks.
Thank you, Jem.
Coming out.
Yes, Judge, it is.
Council's gonna have your appearances, please.
For the defendant, Michael Brown, 320 Carlton Avenue, Central Islip, New York. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
For the defendant, Danielle Boyce, 320 Carlton Avenue, Suite 2000 in Central Islip. Good morning.
For the people, Nicholas J. Santamartino. Good morning.
For the people, Assistant District Attorney Andrew Lee. For the people, Lawrence. Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Brown, is your client ready for sentencing?
We are, Your Honor. Thank you.
People wish to be heard?
Yes, please. Your Honor, prior to the people making this recommendation as to sentencing, the people wished for several victim impact statements to be delivered. Some of these victim impact statements will be delivered live here in the courtroom, and others will be read on behalf of members of the victims' families who could not be here or wished for us to read the statements on their behalf. These statements will provide to the court an opportunity to experience the tragedy, the consequences, and the personal impact experienced by these families based on the defendant's actions. The first presenter or speaker, Your Honor, would be Mr. and Mrs. Ed and Joanne Mack.
You may proceed.
Mr. and Mrs. Mack.
You may proceed, sir.
Mr. Heuermann, you have done horrendous things to Valerie's earthly body, but you have not touched the real Valerie. To paraphrase C.S. Lewis, there are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal. Everyone you've joked with, worked with, married, snubbed, or even killed is born an immortal creature. Each will live forever, either in majestic glory or imaginable horror. I can only imagine when my day comes and I find myself standing before Jesus, Valerie will be at his side.
Your Honor, I would like to say to Mr. Heuermann, what you have done to our family is beyond what words can express. Even though justice is done, it cannot replace what you have taken from us. Or can it give our beloved Valerie back her life here on earth? I do, however, want you to understand that even though you were able to commit these horrendous atrocities against our daughter, and no matter what sense of power or control you felt over Valerie's body, you were never able to touch her soul. I'm telling you, unless you get yourself right before God, Valerie is the one who is free today, and you are not. She is living her life with her Savior, Jesus Christ, and what you have done has gained you nothing. I'd like you to understand the thing that is the saddest to bear is that you took away every chance that she ever had these past 26 years since you took her life to attain any of the goals that she had set for herself, and she did. She had hopes and she had dreams, and you took it all away from her. And you can never give it back, no matter how much remorse or regret, or if you're sorry, I'll never know. But you cannot give her back what you took from her and her son. You took away a lifetime for him of his mother's love. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next, Your Honor, Ms. Danielle Mack, adopted sister of Valerie Mack, wishes to address the court.
Very well.
Hello, today I'm here to talk about the impact of Mr. Heuermann's crimes. I don't come to address him because I don't believe he is worth addressing. He doesn't have the humanity to feel remorse. He is a selfish, entitled man who felt like my sister and the other victims' lives were his to destroy. My sister was not in a good place when she met Mr. Heuermann, and he took advantage of that. She'd never have looked twice at him if she hadn't been struggling. Despite her struggles, despite the mugshot that the media has spread of her, Valerie Mack had a fire inside of her that lit up the world around her. She was strong, protective, sharp, funny, and beautiful inside and out. From what I have heard of Jessica, Maureen, Melissa, Megan, Amber, Sandra, and Karen, this is something all these girls shared in common. Mr. Heuermann may have snuffed out their lives and took them away from us, but the fires they lit roar inside each and every one of us, and that is something he can never rob us of.
Next, Your Honor, Valerie Mack's son, Benjamin Aaron Torres, asked that the following statement be read on his behalf. For the record, he is here and in support of the sentencing today. I am the son of Valerie Mack. The amount of pain and loss you have caused my life is insurmountable. The web of destruction you inflicted spans well beyond me and my wounds. So much so, words fail to convey it properly. Such a degree of evil and selfishness you have acted out warrants no possible excuse. I will leave you with this. You will reap what you have sown. No one exempt from that universal truth. Your Honor, next, Ms. Jasmine Robinson and Violet Swagger, cousins of Jessica Taylor, wish to address the court.
I'll never forget how I felt when I got that call. I couldn't wrap my mind around the word torso. No way could someone do that to someone I love. Torso. Headless and handless. These words haunt me. Our prefrontal cortex had barely finished forming. Torso? I thought that was a midriff. It's a chopped up body. No way. Disgusting, awful, terrifying, monstrous, brutal. What parts of her are all over the place missing? They didn't find all over? All of her. Headless and handless. I still don't understand. That weekend, she was supposed to come home. That weekend, family and friends were looking for her. Loved ones were calling her. She wasn't gonna miss that weekend. She never picked up the phone. She didn't call anyone back because of you. I will hate Khalil forever, and I can't even put into words the viscerating loathing I have for you. My heart broke even more that there were more victims. Sick, twisted, heartless. There aren't enough words for these murders. My heart sinks even lower for the victims that have not been named or found. May they too get justice. 23 years. 23 years we've waited. For a while, it felt like this day would never come. The pain and devastation your murders have caused is immeasurable. Sometimes it doesn't feel real. Decades later, her presence is missed, always. Decades we have wondered who could have done that. And then the call. They found her skull. Her skull, my cousin's skull, was found years later, miles away. We had a memorial to celebrate her. I daydream of the woman she'd be today, and I smile with pride. Today she turns our age. Her half birthday was my birthday, and my half birthday was her birthday. And we would laugh, because the calendar math is wrong. I miss her. I know she'd be just as obsessed with my nephew as I am. My sister and I are super close. And we were young. The three of us girls were weekend warriors. It was like Jazzy got a big sister cousin and I got a twin cousin. We were amazing together, always coming up with stuff, always creating, exploring. We knew how to be free when we were together. Weekend warriors. 80s and 90s kids playing double dutch, and that old memory game Husker Du, hand clap lanes, and Nintendo when we could get a turn. Learning the Tootsie Roll at a dance party in a church basement, being at Aunt Beth's house, having dance parties and movie family nights, staying up late, soda milk. Some people call it dirty soda, but it's soda milk. Speaking, watching Tales from the Crypt with my sister when maybe she was too young, using whatever you can to lay your edges. She was always fly. Some weekends we were country mice, some weekends we were city mice, slick and sly in any environment, adaptable. We'd explore and we'd strive for more, forever curious and longing to experience more, longing to live full lives. We shared everything. Family secrets that will never be yours to know. We shared the good and the bad. We loved each other and knew we always had each other's backs, even when time and distance kept us apart. And then we almost grew up. I was working and noticed my cousin's face on TV. It was her awful mugshot and that terrible photo of her scratched up tattoo. Terrible. And the way they were describing her, like she had no one, estranged, and nobody. My bestie called me immediately and told me my cousin was on the TV and I'm not gonna like how they portray her. She was right. And I had already seen it and was more than angry. Just because someone's family doesn't want to talk to the press does not mean they aren't suffering extreme loss and pain. Pain and grief are different for all of us. The narrative and language regarding Jess and the other victims is finally starting to take a turn, but we can't unhear and unfeel the past. Until you came around, nobody ever questioned who is or isn't my family. The way the press has treated the victims and their families over the years is painful, bringing out the worst of the worst. This will never be over. Maybe now strangers will stop trying to figure out our family. You won't get it. And quite frankly, I don't give a damn. Heuermann, you fill me with so much repugnance, it's suffocating. But I can't let you overtake me, and I will stand strong for my cousin and the many other victims, including the ones you're holding on to, like a carrot over the FBI because of this behavioral health study. You went from freak to clown, better work, creep. I hope you and I believe that science and detectives will beat you to the punch. Remember when they surrounded you out of nowhere to arrest you? I love that footage. I could watch it over and over. I almost feel sorry for not publicly speaking before this, and the voices that still can't. But if ever there was a time for me to talk about Jessica Taylor, my cousin, my brave, fun, hilarious, spunky, smart, beautiful friend, there are songs that I listen to and I can still hear. He did not just say shave your face with some mace and laugh. And the 80s and 90s would not have been the same without each other. And the future won't be the same without her. 1,000,000 years isn't enough because you won't suffer for that long. You will spend the rest of your forever in prison, and it doesn't feel satisfying. Nothing will ever make this right. This kind of grief stays. Knowing you can never do it again does give me some comfort. Jess is always with us.
Do you want to end up like Jessica? That is a question I heard many times as a teenager. Something spoken out of the fear of knowing what a monster is truly capable of. The answer was yes. I did want to end up like Jess. She was fierce, kind, compassionate, beautiful, and intelligent. She loved every person she met better than she found them, even if they only met for a moment. She never met a stranger. She was pure sunshine. I wish all of the time that I could know her as the woman that I am today, that I could see the woman she would have become, that I would have hugged her tighter the last time that I saw her, that she could know my son, the trips us and my sister could have had, the memories we could have continued to make. Instead, I try to remember her through the memories that I'm lucky to hold on to. I pray to her and I leave flowers in memory of her in the places that she was left behind. I fought for her when she couldn't fight. I promised her until the wheels fell off, and I never gave up, even when it felt like I was screaming underwater. If I could say something to her murderer, I would say this. You thought you took her voice, but you didn't know that she had people who loved her. You hunted her, and I hunted you. I would say to her murderer, for someone who spent so much time perfecting his skill, you certainly were sloppy. You made a whole planning document to kill my cousin, and you couldn't even do that right. Let's go through your lists. problems, DNA, left it. Messed up there, huh? Supplies, hairnet, well, so much for that. Body prep, removed DNA. Once again, you wrote it down twice and you still couldn't get it. And remove ID marks. Well, we know you couldn't do that because she was identified by the tattoo that you couldn't cut out properly. I can wrap around my head around why you would kill, because who would want to be around you? What I can't wrap my head around is why would the FBI even want to waste their time with you? You're boring, you're not prolific, you couldn't even be top 5, you're a nobody. You didn't evade the police, just wasn't worked properly. If the police work and the technology was the same as 2023, you would have been locked up then. You were right there the whole time, losing control while the clock ticked. I know why you did what you did to my cousin after you killed her. It's because she saw you as the huge freak that you are. I know she let you know up until the end. I know she did not go out without a fight. You chose small women because you were nothing more than a weak, disgusting coward. It makes sense how you didn't see them as human. It's kind of the same way nobody saw you as a human in high school. You tried to fit in your whole life and you never could. Your whole life was fake. All for you to perfect a craft that you couldn't perfect. You could never get it right. You could never have full control. You want to know what it is to play God? Well, you will have to face him. Today is Jessica's birthday. She'd be turning 43 today, and I would be able to make fun of her for being an old lady with my sister. When I started my fight for her, there was a piece of me who thought I could bring her back if I got answers. Well, unfortunately, that will never be true. I know one day I will get to hug her in heaven. I'm so grateful for this day of justice, and I know she is too. I hope she's singing with the angels today, and we will forever celebrate her and all of the victims with love. Happy birthday, Jess. Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, Melissa Missy Ken, sister of Maureen Brandon Barnes, wishes to address the court. She will be accompanied by her husband, Christy.
Your Honor, in this court, nothing could have prepared me for the day that Maureen didn't come home. At first, I kept telling myself that she would call at any moment, that everything would somehow be okay. But as days turned into years, that hope slowly faded into a devastating reality. After years of searching for Maureen, my world shattered. The day my sister was found in the brambles on the side of a dark, lonely highway. She was not just murdered, she was a victim of a predator, a serial killer. This was not just a murder, this was a calculated, unimaginable evil. It was a shack so profound that my body could not process it. Because when Maureen was identified, it meant facing the truth that she was gone forever. And that pain is unbearable. I lived with survivor's guilt for over a decade. I replayed every moment over and over again.
That may have been inappropriate, and I apologize.
Asking myself, what if? What if I've done something differently? Would Maureen still be here today? That question became a weight I carried everywhere. It was constant, heavy, and painfully real. That guilt changed me. I held on to it because I believed I had to. I told myself that if I let go, then what kind of sister would I be? I didn't allow myself to feel happiness or peace for long because Maureen never got that chance. Deep down, I convinced myself that somehow this was all my fault. It has taken me years to know the truth. My actions did not cause my sister's death. The guilt is not mine to carry and never was. This burden belongs to Rex. Rex alone. I hope he's forced to sit with the reality to feel even a fraction of the weight, the trauma, and the pain I've carried for so long. Your Honor, I would like to tell you about my sister Maureen. Maureen was a rare soul, someone you didn't come across often. She was intelligent in a way that went beyond books. She was deeply insightful and the kind of person who would understand you with just a few minutes of conversation. Anyone who sat with her, even for 5 minutes, will walk away knowing how extraordinary she truly was. Maureen was there for me through every chapter of her life that she was alive to witness it. She comforted me when I was a scared child and thunder shook the house. She was the first person I saw when I woke up from a medically induced coma on life support after a serious car crash. Standing beside me, picking clods and dirt out of my hair, in my most vulnerable moment, she advocated for me and made sure I was cared for. She was there on her own birthday while I was being induced into labor and my daughter was born the very next day. When I look back on my life with Maureen, I remember her as my protector, someone who loved me unconditionally. She never judged me or tried to change me. She loved me exactly as I was. If Maureen's life had not been taken, I believe she would have gone on to touch countless of lives in a deeply positive way. That's the kind of person she was. She was loving, selfless, and unforgettable. She had a nurturing spirit, always putting others before herself. Her kindness, her warmth, and selflessness, it left a lasting mark on everyone who knew her. She was vibrant, and she is my sister. The last words she said to me were, "I love you. I'll see you tomorrow." Because she was supposed to come home from New York City. Her words never left me. They still echo in my mind. Maureen, my brother Will, and I were inseparable. But Will isn't here today. He died a year before Maureen was found. I will be his voice today. He lived and died not knowing what happened to her. He never stopped searching. He went to New York over and over, handing out her pictures, knocking on doors, chasing any lead he could find. He wrote on her MySpace, hoping she would somehow see it and come home. He wrote, "I love you, Maureen. I'll never forget you. And if you could see this, please contact me. You know, no matter what's going on, I'm here for you. I love you, Maureen." That loss never left him, but it changed him. He carried the weight of her disappearance every day, the guilt of feeling like he couldn't protect her, like he should have done more. And he carried that pain with him until the day he died. Your Honor, you see, this was not only a destruction of life, this has became a lifelong devastation of a family who's loved her. The trauma he created didn't end with me, it has affected my children. It's something that then passed down to children, mother to child and beyond. That is the lasting damage of his actions. Rex didn't just take my sister, he ripped her out of my life and shattered everything I thought I knew about safety, trust in the world around me. When he took her life, he destroyed mine as I knew it. There is a permanent emptiness, a wound that will never heal. I am not who I was before because of him, and I never will be again. Since Maureen's murder, this case has changed the way I see the world. What once felt normal now feels unpredictable and unsafe. My mind doesn't go to what's likely, it goes straight to the most unthinkable outcome. Every situation could spiral into fear. I overthink, I panic, and the danger I imagine feels real, like it's already happening. I've spent years trying to heal. I've gone to EMDR therapy, PSD treatment, and counseling. But no matter how much work I've done, there's a wall I can't seem to break because I struggle trusting people with my story. And without trust, it feels impossible to fully heal. When Rex chose to take Maureen's life, he didn't just take her from us. He took my sense of safety. He took my peace of mind. He took the way I used to move through the world without fear. In many ways, I became one of his victims too. I live with this every day. It's like being trapped, shackled in your own mind, imprisoned by fear and constant terror I can't escape. But I'm here today to take back my sense of safety that was taken from me and confront
brought my deepest fear. Rex, while you thought you'd gotten away with what you'd done, I made it my life mission to see you found and brought to justice. Without you knowing it, I became your worst nightmare. You thought you were hidden, and you thought you were smarter than anybody else, able to live in the shadows without consequence. But you were wrong. The voices of our families grew louder, our grief turned into strength, and the determination of law enforcement and this district attorney's office only intensified until the truth caught up with you. I noticed the slight smile on your face when the judge spoke about cooperating with the FBI behavioral analysis unit. You looked proud, almost honored to be associate with something you yourself have studied, read, and studied about. But there's no honor in this. You are not going to be part of something honorable. You are going to be a subject, confined, examined, reduced to a case study. Nothing more than a cage specimen, picked apart so others could understand the depth of your cruelty. Hear this clearly. Your name will never rise above the woman you stole from this world. We will now not allow it. They are the ones who matter, and they are the ones who will be remembered. In the end, they will be remembered for only what you are, small, hollow, and defined entirely by the destruction you caused. I don't know what shaped you or what pain or anger you may have carried, but I know this with certainty. It wasn't Maureen, it wasn't Melissa, Megan, Amber, Jessica, Valerie, Sandra, or Karen. They did not create the darkness inside you. They were innocent and paid the price for something that was never theirs to begin with. You are a coward who preyed on vulnerable, innocent women. You hid behind a mask, presenting yourself as normal, a father, a husband, someone people could trust. But that mask was a lie. Beneath the truth is who you are, a man without empathy, without a soul, someone who hunted, tortured, and murdered women to satisfy the darkness within you. For years, we lived in the shadow of what you did. We carried the pain, the fear, the unanswered questions, but today that changes. Today, you are no longer the one in control of this story. Maureen was not just a victim. She is a daughter, a sister, a mother, a woman who was loved deeply and will never be forgotten. And while you tried to silence her, you failed. You may have taken her presence, but you can never erase her voice and the memories of her. It lives on in every truth spoken, every tear shed, and every act of courage inspired by her memory. I found my strength through her voice. From the pain you caused, I build resilience. From the silence you tried to force, I rose louder to you. This is about more than justice. This is me stepping fully in my light after years of surviving your darkness. It's about reclaiming what you try to break and honoring what you can never destroy. Love.
Next, Your Honor, Ms. Nicolette Brainerd Barnes and Dylan Haggett, the son and daughter of Maureen Brainerd Barnes.
Only the sexy people.
Fuck you on the steak and fuck you on the potatoes.
Fuck. Whole thing I had. Yeah. I said, thank you, Michael, for the 10 memberships. Everything I'm about to say, I said a lot nicer before. Before I knew, God damn it, that I was muted. Didn't know that I was muted. First, I said, hang on. I said a lot of very important things. I said I had to thank Mal for being a sexy person for 7 months, although she should be thanking me because I'm sure she's gotten much sexier, if possible. I welcomed and warned no thanks, okay, to the sexy people. Warned about with all the sexy. I thanked Ken too, Sukaroy, for the 10 memberships, and I thanked Michael, also telling him that I hadn't even seen him or said hello to him yet. I said other things that were incredibly intelligent and funny as hell. But unfortunately, due to my stupidity, you're never going to hear them and I'm never going to remember them. We'll get back to this after I express myself once again.
Only the sexy people.
Fuck you on the steak and fuck you on the potatoes.
Barnes wish to address the court. They will be accompanied by Marie Ducharme, Maureen Brainerd Barnes' mother.
Your Honor, my name is Nicolette Brainerd Barnes. I am the daughter of Maureen Brainerd Barnes. Before we talk about the
And hello, Sub Rosa. Hello, Carolina. And hello, Blue River. And just me. Okay.
case, I'd like to talk about my mom. She was a warm, bubbly, funny, intelligent, and artistic person. Most of all, she had the biggest heart of anyone I've ever known. When she would pass an unhoused person on the street, she would literally give them her last dollar, or at least stop to acknowledge them and see how they were doing if she didn't have any money on her. She was a language arts girly, a poet, an avid reader. She was politically outspoken, and that carried through in her writing. She loved hip-hop and R&B music and would write raps in her poetry notebooks, saying she wanted to be a rapper. She had a strong sense of humor and the most contagious laugh. She was young at heart, but she was also just young. She lived for only another few weeks past her 25th birthday. When I myself turned 25, it wasn't the joyful milestone that most young people enjoy. It was jarring and painful because I knew that it meant I'd now lived longer than my mom did. Today, I'm nearly 2 years older than she will ever be. Rex Heuermann stole decades of life from a woman who should still be here making memories with the people who love her. The loss of my mother and the circumstances surrounding her death have impacted me in many ways. I've had to go to years of therapy and I've tried many different treatments and medications. I've dealt with extreme paranoia and anxiety and experienced severe PTSD. It's affected every aspect of my life. Even now that Heuermann's been caught, I will never be someone who can relax because I had such overwhelming fear at such a formative age. I was only 7 years old when I lost my mother, and for the next 3 years she was missing. I had to wonder what happened to her. The first time I remember experiencing depression in my life was my first Christmas without her. I didn't realize at the time that that's what it was, but I remember just feeling so empty and wondering why I felt so sad when it was Christmas and I had received every present I wanted. But I didn't have my mother. I was a little girl and I needed my mom. And there are moments that have yet to come when I will need her and she will not be there. People tell me how alike we are, our mannerisms, views on things, interests, hobbies. Those 7 years with her set the blueprint for who I am. My life has been immeasurably altered by the loss of my mother. There is no part of it untouched by her absence. Her death did not create a single moment of grief, it created a lifetime of them. My life is largely defined by the countless ways it could have been different if she were still here. I often think about the person I might have been if I had the chance to grow up with my mother. That question has no answer, and that is part of the injustice that I live with every day. I have been shaped as much by my mother's absence as I would have been by her presence. I want to shift focus for a moment to acknowledge the investigators and members of the task force who took over this case in 2022. Throughout an unimaginably painful process made more painful by the court of public opinion slandering my mother and the other victims, they treated my family and my mother's memory with dignity, compassion, and respect. They never allowed her to become just a file or a headline. They kept the victims and our families at the center of their work, and that has meant more than I can fully express. In a case that often felt defined by stigma, they gave our family moments of humanity. My mother was not a headline, a statistic, or a label. She was not defined by one chapter of her life, and she certainly was not defined by the circumstances of her death. Like every sex worker, my mom was an entire human being. When Rex Heuermann took her from the world, he took someone with hopes and plans for her life. He took a mother, a daughter, an aunt, a friend. He took someone who was deeply loved and can never be replaced. He reduced vibrant women with families, personalities, dreams, humor, and histories into names on a list. But they are all far more complex, compassionate, and interesting people than he will ever be. My mother lived a real, colorful, complicated life. She loved, she struggled, she mattered, and she deserved the chance to keep living. The women he targeted were not disposable. They were deeply loved, and their absence has left permanent wounds in the lives of everyone who knew them. My mother's life had depth, warmth, humor, and meaning. The same is true for the other women whose lives he stole: Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, Sandra Castilla, Karen Vergata, Valerie Mack, and Jessica Taylor. They will be remembered for who they were and how deeply they were loved. He will be remembered only for destruction. For all the attention this case has brought him, he remains the least interesting person in it. My mother and the other victims lived full, complex lives that mattered infinitely more than the man who cut them short. And to Rex, I know you want the world to think you have the capacity for love and that you love those close to you, but the mask you wear does not fool me. You are a pathetic man who thinks you're better than women. You need to believe that sex workers are subhuman because you're a coward who takes out your own shortcomings on others. I feel bad for you because your capacity for hate means that you can't possibly understand love, the purity of it, the kind of love I had and still have for my mother. Seeing your last court appearance and the way you smirked as you finally confessed to what you did to my mother proves that you need to be locked away for the safety of the community. There are no words extreme enough to communicate the level of depravity within you. You make me sick and I don't forgive you.
My name is Dylan, and I am the son of Maureen. When I lost her, I was just 1 year old. My earliest memories are defined by anxiety, fear, and sadness, not knowing where she had went and why I did not have her in my life. I don't remember her voice or her face or the love she gave me as a baby. I never had my mom to see me on my first days of school. I never had her when I graduated. I never had her when I needed her, and I will never have her in the future when I need her. She never got to see who I would become, and she never got to play a role in shaping who I will become. The trauma of losing my mom in such a way, at such a young age, affected every part of my life and will continue to affect every part of my life. Thank you.
Your Honor, next, Ms. Amanda Funderburg, sister of Melissa Bartholomew, wishes to address the court. She will be accompanied by both her mother and Melissa's mother, Lynn Bartholomew.
would have met her under the name Chloe. Melissa Mary Bartholomew, born April 14th, 1985, in Buffalo, New York. Today, if she were here, she'd be 41 years old, but instead she's forever 24. Growing up, my sister was always there for me, whether it be taking care of me when my mom was at work, making me lunch, doing my hair, walking to my aunt's house, playing games, watching TV, or just sitting in silence together. She was 9 years older than me, so naturally I looked up to her. She was my sister, but also like a second mom, my protector, and later would become my best friend. She was thoughtful, and she always checked in. Even when she moved to Texas with her father, she would call and check in with my mom and I. She'd send me letters with pictures she drew. She even sent me a nightlight she made by hand because she knew I was terrified of the dark, which I still have to this day. I don't use it. She was a fighter for love, for family, and for a better life. She wanted to open her own hair salon one day, which made me and our family her guinea pigs. She was a high school graduate and even went on to cosmetology school before moving to New York City. Melissa was kind-hearted, give your shirt off her back kind, the kind that would give someone less of her money or a place to stay if they needed. She told you like it was, even if it was to simply tell you she didn't like you. She was strong-willed, determined, ambitious, and an amazing role model. She loved to cuddle, to laugh. She loved the color baby blue, her beauty rest, and she loved her family, including her cats. She loved music, clothes, sneakers, food, roller coasters, and a good Long Island iced tea. Don't get me wrong, she had her flaws. She was stubborn, she was always right, and she was selective on who she liked. As I got older, if I did something I wasn't supposed to, she'd even tell on me like I did to her when I was a kid. She'd pick on me in the type of I love you way, which I acquired that trait from her. She was a little conceited, and I would always laugh at her when she was getting ready in the mirror because she would make this face like she was the most beautiful woman in the world, which truly made me admire her confidence, so I guess that's a good thing. After my sister moved to the Bronx, I'd only get to see her once or twice a year. She'd always come home for Christmas and stay until after the New Year. And if I was lucky, I got to stay with her for the summer. I remember the last holiday I spent with Melissa. I didn't hug her goodbye, thinking I'd see her again in a few short months when I went to spend the summer with her. I remember the last time I spoke with her, she was telling me how I'd get my plane ticket from the kiosk at the airport. Not knowing that trip would never come, that next hug would never come, and that holiday would have been the last time I'd see her. That she would go missing in July of 2009, about a week before I was supposed to fly out to her. And I always wonder if it would have happened if I would have been there. Would she still be here? Would she have been spared because you wouldn't have met her? Or because I would have known where she was going? But those questions don't matter because you still took her from me, from all of us. You can look at me while I'm talking. It's been about 17 years since we spoke, don't forget. You tarnished the relationship between my mother and I for a while. She was afraid for me because of you. She was afraid when I left the house that I wouldn't return. And it was also hard for her to be there for me the way I needed her to be. When she herself was fighting for my sister's life, for someone to take us seriously, fighting for her own life and for her sanity. Thankfully, we were able to reconcile that relationship, something you'll probably never have with your daughter. And I hope that's something that haunts you for the rest of what I hope is a very short-lived life. I was forced to live with crippling anxiety, depression, PTSD, and a destroyed nervous system. I was filled with rage and sadness every single day. For a while, depression had got the best of me, and so I barely ate, and I cried and slept on repeat. I was afraid of people that looked at me for too long. I was mortified anytime I heard a noise if I was home alone. I had to check the back of my car every time I got in. I was weary about meeting new people or being in large crowds. My heart even skipped a beat if I got a call from a blocked number. Constantly staring at my phone waiting for the next call from you. Because of the several times you had called me from my sister's phone, telling me she was a whore, and that you raped her in the ass. And then I should have seen the look on her face when you raped her in the ass. Or how I'd ask you where she was. And you'd tell me that you were letting her body rot and that maybe one day you'd come tell me where she was. I had to repeat all of this to my mother and to countless detectives, constantly playing these words out loud and in my head. And watching my mom grieve her baby girl was one of the most gut-wrenching things I've ever had to experience. I was always focused on the possibility of a next phone call or where my sister was so much that I couldn't even focus on school. I was 15 years old. I know you don't care. I was just going into 10th grade, and I never got to finish because even when I was in school, my mind wasn't actually present. I was robbed of my youth, I was robbed of my young adulthood, and I still feel robbed to this day. There were so many years that I didn't want to be on this earth anymore. I would never taken my own life, but it got to the point where I didn't care what happened to me. I simply didn't want to be here without her. I didn't feel safe, I didn't feel loved, and I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere because a part of me was missing. I had the guilt that I hid her work from everyone because maybe if I had told my mom, just maybe she would have stopped. Melissa would have been angry with me, but that I could have lived with because she'd still be here. I wonder what exactly made you think she was expendable? What made you think she didn't have anyone that loved or cared about her? After all that I endured, I still chose to fight and be resilient. We all did. We did it alone and we did it together. My family and all the other families came together as one, and we fought as one. You might have taken our girls from us, but we gained each other, which clearly worked against you. There was a time I almost felt bad for you, thinking, wow, someone really messed up this guy. Then I reminded myself that we're all animals, we're all capable of being monsters, whether we like to admit it or not. We all have intrusive thoughts. The difference between us and you is we don't act on them. You had a choice and you made the wrong one. You became nothing but a nuisance to society. Don't even bother saying that you're sorry or you couldn't help yourself because no one believes that even for a moment. Because of you, I never get to see my big sister again. Because of you, I've missed out on so many memories made with her, seeing her grow old, watching her interests change, never getting to see if she'd open a salon, if she'd have a family, if she would have moved back home, or even what her favorite song would be right now. I hope that even the thought of pizza reminds you how bad you messed up, taking away the precious lives of our loved ones and how you've been held accountable for your actions. And although I can't do it myself, I hope you suffer to the fullest extent at the hands of others the way you made our girls suffer. And I hope the word ogre, the media called me an ogre, I hope that sticks with you because that's truly what you are. A large man with unpleasant traits, a violent man, a repulsive monster, a demon inside and out. Don't get me wrong, I'm overjoyed that you've been taken out of society so you can't take anyone's loved ones away from them anymore. But in my eyes, justice isn't served. Our girls don't get to come back now. Justice in my eyes is our families inflicting the same pain that you inflicted on our girls and all the others I believe are still out there. Believe me when I say you're not the only capable person in this room. You murdered my sister, and the things I do to you are far worse than anything you've ever done to anyone or even thought of. And just because you have a few fans, remember, you are hated by so many. I know everyone spoke on heaven, but do me a favor, send me a spot in hell, because I'll see you there.
Your Honor, the final two speakers who will wish to give their statements to the court are Elizabeth Reserve, the aunt of Megan Waterman, and Liliana Waterman, the daughter of Megan Waterman.
Your Honor, I stand before you as the aunt of Megan Waterman, who was loved dearly for her humor, strength, and devotion to her friends and family. I'm honored to be a voice of Megan Amelia Waterman. Megan was being prostituted by King Cruz, a pimp who disguised himself as her boyfriend. And because of his trafficking of my niece, the prisoner who sits in this courtroom today was able to rob her of her life and rob those who loved her of a future with her. On June 6, 2010, the prisoner not only took all of Megan's hopes and dreams, but he also shattered our family. Megan left the Holiday Inn Express in Hauppauge, New York, to meet the predator who stole her from us. I'm certain my niece fought as hard as she possibly could to come back to her daughter, whom she loved with every fiber of her being. Her loss has caused immeasurable hardship for our family, medically, financially, emotionally, and this will not end when this day ends. My niece Megan was much more than a statistic, a headline, or a number in the horrific crimes committed by this prisoner. Megan was a mother, a daughter, niece, sister, and a vibrant young woman who dreamed of building a wonderful life for herself and her daughter. I have worked since 2010 seeking some form of justice for Megan's death, and today reflects the result of years of pain, perseverance, and hard work by many people. Some days are easier than others for me and my family, but we continue moving forward, hoping for the day when this kind of evil no longer exists in society. It saddens me to think that my parents who raised Megan and my sister who gave her life did not live long enough to witness what is transpiring today. It took 7 agonizing months from the time Megan went missing until she was identified as one of the victims found on the beach. During that time, I spent every day wondering what was happening to her, where she was, and hoping she would come back to us. That was not to be, because the sick individual who sits here in this courtroom had fantasized about ending her life along with the lives of many others. Through the evidence, we have learned that this prisoner did not have a type. He simply wanted to torture and kill. His searching of child pornography, gay pornography, torture pornography, and pornography in general. The prisoner is larger in stature. Some have compared him to an ogre. When you consider the size of this man and the fact that he searched for children and smaller statured victims, it becomes quite clear he was not a fearsome predator, but rather a cowardly opportunist. I was there the day Megan gave birth to her daughter, the same daughter who was left motherless because the prisoner chose to take Megan's life. When Liliana first learned her mother had died, she would walk around telling us that she was 4, she didn't understand what death meant. She would tell us that her mother died of the hunger because she was lost and couldn't find food. And then when they found her, Lily would ask us why the police didn't bring her home because they found her mummy. As one of the people responsible for helping to raise Lily, my heart broke a million times over because her mother was not present for the milestones such as her first day of school, her high school graduation, her college graduation. One day, my great niece will marry, and she will not have her mother by her side to help her choose her wedding dress. The prisoner stole those moments from my great niece the day he took her mother from us. Forever she will hurt, and forever our family will hurt because of Megan's absence and all the milestones and life events that lie ahead. I cannot find the words to truly express how devastating Megan's loss has been to our family. The prisoners plan to erase Megan, Maureen, Melissa, Amberlynn, Jessica, Valerie, Sandra, and Karen backfired. Because his vile and cowardly actions, our loved ones will be spoken of for years to come with love and reverence, not only by their families and friends, but by millions of people around the world who now mourn their loss. The families, friends, and supporters of these women demanded justice because their lives had meaning, purpose, and value. The justice system has spoken, and the prisoner will be banished from society for the rest of his life. He will now become the burden on the taxpayers of whichever state prison system houses him until he takes his last breath. And I am compelled to speak of the devastating re-victimizations and marginalizations that we have endured throughout this process. First, due to the corruption of the former Suffolk County District Attorney, Thomas Spoka, and the former Suffolk County Police Chief, James Burke, the very individuals who were responsible for investigating our loved one's case, key evidence was never even looked at, so that light would not be shown on their corruption. These two vile and corrupt men who took oaths to serve and protect done their jobs, or at least allowed others who were more than willing to investigate do theirs, this case would have been closed years earlier perhaps. Second, the prisoner's ability to divest himself of assets through divorce exposes flaws in the system that deserve careful review and reform. Third, 50 Cent's production company, G-Unit Film and Television Inc., working alongside Peacock streaming services to produce a docuseries that paid millions of dollars to the prisoner's ex-wife, daughter, stepson, and their attorneys is completely disgusting and inexcusable. When I read about this, I was both sickened and shocked and deeply disturbed. It's important to put on record, these individuals profited from the monstrous acts committed against our loved ones by the demon sitting in this courtroom. This is the kind of world we're living in. A demon tortures and kills our loved ones, and his family gets filthy rich off his crimes. New York State, through the authority of this court, has already demonstrated the ability to advance the cause of justice by expanding the DNA threshold through the Friday hearings and decision. A decision that provided renewed hope to victims, families, just as it provided hope to our families while seeking truth and accountability. Now New York has another opportunity to lead. For families like us, the pain of violent crime does not end with the arrest or conviction. We continue to witness individuals, associates, and third parties profit or attempt to profit from the notoriety surrounding these horrific acts through the sale of memorabilia, collectibles, and other items tied to infamous crimes and offenders. Existing Son of Sam protections were created to prevent criminals from benefiting for their crimes, yet loopholes remain that allow notoriety itself to be monetized. I implore members of the legislature to vote in favor of Bill A6730, which is currently before the legislature. This legislation is designed to close those loopholes and strengthen protections for victims and their loved ones. The bill is not about restricting books, documentaries, journalism, or public discussion. It's about ensuring that criminals and those connected to them cannot exploit tragedy for financial gain while families are left carrying a lifelong weight of loss. This is your opportunity to stand with victims, families, and support the meaningful advancement of Bill A6730. So future families do not have to endure the same pain and indignity that we have and countless victims' families before us have suffered. Let us not forget Asian Doe. May he be identified soon, and may justice be brought for him and his family. And let us also not forget Shannon Gilbert, whose family still seeks justice for her death. Love is the most powerful force in the world. We will continue living our best lives while remembering and celebrating Megan, Maureen, Melissa, Amberlyn, Jessica, Valerie, Sandra, and Karen with love. Like the justice system, I too am banishing the prisoner from occupying any more space in my mind as this day comes to a close. Be gone, cowardly demon.
My name is Liliana Waterman, and I'm the daughter of Megan Waterman. My mother went missing when I was just 3 years old. Her body was not found until I was 4. She was taken from me during the most important years of my life. A little girl needs her mom. I never got the chance to know what it was like to be comforted by her after a bad day, to hear her advice, or to grow up with her guidance in life. I was not fully aware of the horrific details of what had happened until I was around 9 years old. How do you tell a child that her mom was brutally murdered? I remember sitting at home in 4th grade, scrolling online when I came across an article about her. That was the moment I truly understood what had happened. I remember asking my grandparents what the word prostitute, pimp meant. In an instant, my world was shattered. My heart broke all over again. Questions flooded my mind. Was she in pain? Was she scared? Was she thinking of me? What were her last words? I knew she was trying to build a better life for me. Was this somehow my fault? No child should ever have to carry anything like that, any of those questions. After my mother's death, my grandparents and my aunt became my guardians. In many ways, this was not new to me because I had lived with them for most of my life. My grandmother had already raised 6 of her own kids. She then helped to raise my mother and my uncle, and then started over again to raise me. She gave me stability, love, and a home when my world had been turned upside down. In 2018, we lost the house we had lived in for nearly 10 years and were forced to move to a new state. Then in 2019, both of my grandparents passed away just 4 months apart. By the age of 12, I had lost my mom, my nana, my papa who had raised me, and I had never known my dad. A few months later, my aunt moved me to yet another state. Within 3 years, I had lived in 3 different states, constantly trying to find a place where I felt like I belonged. I often found myself wondering if my mother had never been murdered, would any of this have happened to me? Maybe we would have stayed in our home state. Maybe I would have grown up with more stability. Maybe I would have had the chance to come home to my mom every day. Maybe she would have given me siblings. Maybe I would have known what it felt like to have a parent cheer me on through life's milestones. Those are questions I will never have answered because of the choices made by the man who took her life. One of the hardest parts of this case has been living it publicly. For years, my mother's murder has been discussed in articles, television specials, podcasts, and across social media. There are weeks when I cannot bring myself to open any social apps because I am constantly confronted with reminders of the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I am grateful that people want to say her name and seek justice for her, but there is a difference between remembering who she was and profiting off of the tragedy that she's been through. Watching companies, networks, content makers, and all of them make money from the pain my family has been through is very difficult. Major news companies show up at my doorstep, calling my work to get anything out of me and other people who work there answering phones, texting me on any social site they can to make a quick buck off of my story absolutely disgusts me. While others build careers and profit from this story, my family has spent years carrying emotional, financial, and personal consequences of it. I have spent 16 mother days without my mom. I have lived thousands of days without her. I am now the same age my mom was when she was first pregnant with me, and I realized just how young she really was. I feel as though I have barely begun to understand life, yet she was denied the chance to live hers. She had hopes, dreams, and plans for the future. Nobody grows up dreaming of the circumstances she found herself in. She was a human being. She was someone's daughter, someone's friend. Most importantly, she was my mother. Every milestone in my life has been marked by her absence. She wasn't there for my first day of school, graduations, achievements, heartbreaks, or the moments that shaped me into the person I am today. Every accomplishment comes with a reminder that I cannot call her and tell her anything about it. Rex Heuermann did not just take my mother's life, he stole an entire lifetime of memories that me and her never got to make. He took away birthdays, holidays, conversations, hugs, advice, and every future moment a mother and daughter should have shared. The damage he caused extends far beyond the day he made this crime. His actions changed the course of my life forever. They devastated my family, but they also shattered the lives of his own family, who now must live with the knowledge that they shared a home with a serial killer. He is calculated, manipulative, remorseless, and a heartless man. The pain he caused cannot be measured, and the lives he destroyed cannot be restored. He deserves to spend the rest of his life behind bars. For so many years, this case has been a weight I carried every single day, a burden of unanswered questions, grief, and a sense that justice has not been served. Constantly having to look over my shoulder, making sure nobody was following me or trying to see where I was headed to. Today's proceedings do not erase what happened, and they do not bring her back. Nothing ever will. But today brings accountability. Today brings a measure of justice that has been decades in the making. While my mother was robbed of her future, I stand here to make sure her voice is heard. I will continue to live for her and spread the light that Rex Heuermann tried to take from her. My mother mattered. She was loved. She was more than a headline, more than a victim. more than a case number, and she deserves so much better.
Your Honor, moving on to the victim, Amber Lynn Costello. First, Amber's friend, Mr. Bjorn Brodsky, wished to deliver an impact statement that was delivered to Mr. Brown to the court earlier this week. And secondly, I'm going to read the statement of the sister of Amber Lynn Costello, Kim Overstreet, for the court. Thank you, Honorable Judge Timothy P. Vasey, and this honorable court for allowing me, Kim, sister of Amber Lynn Costello, this opportunity. I offer much sincere gratitude to the dedicated task force of this case for never giving up the fight on the war for justice for my sister, Amber Costello, and other treasured women who lost their lives at the hands of a deviant man named Rex Heuermann. Humbly, through the strength of Jesus Christ, on behalf of my beloved sister, Amber Costello, I do not give a victim impact statement, but a testimony of how Amber Costello's life and death was victorious, bringing glory to God, because a raging, murdering sex addict now faces justice in this court. May this honorable court use the power established by God Almighty to revenge Amber Costello and the other treasured women who lost their lives at the hands of Rex Heuermann. Before Amber Costello's death, she tricked Rex Heuermann in more ways than one. If it were not for my sister's street smarts, Task Force United to catch the serial killer could still be on the hunt. Amber's quick thinking lit the match and ignited fits of rage in the egotistical, evil narcissist, Rex Heuermann. The immoral man sitting before you today could not handle being outwitted by Amber Costello. My sister's actions led this hidden murderer to show out in fits of rage. His unbridled anger for having been fooled by Amber caused Rex Heuermann to not only hunt Amber, but also hunt my daughter and me. Although my daughter, myself, and countless others escaped Rex Heuermann's cold, calculated clutches, my sister, Amber Lynn Costello, paid the ultimate price. However, her sacrifice and soul brings victory to this courtroom because she has strength in Jesus Christ. Although the exact details of what happened to our treasured Amber after she said her last goodbye to friends as she climbed inside Rex Heuermann's avalanche, I know her blind faith in Jesus Christ helped her endure the mental torment and the physical agony this monster sitting before you today inflicted upon her flesh, before Amber Costello eventually succumbed to death, taking her final labored breaths with Rex Heuermann's hands wrapped around her neck. Although my sister was a sinner, she was forgiven, and Amber was justified through Jesus that allowed Amber's spirit to continue to wage war against Rex Heuermann. Since 2011, the task force on this case was directed to the right path to catch this cold-blooded evil man because of my sister's actions. Amber Costello's spirit fights from the marsh grave where Rex Heuermann threw her body. May the judgment passed down on Rex Heuermann count each life lost at his hands as priceless. May this honorable court rectify the fact that the wife of Rex Heuermann has benefited over $1 million because of a relationship to these tragic murders. May the victims, their families, and our society see that God Almighty ordained power and the punishment handed down for Amber Costello's killer, Rex Heuermann. Your Honor, before Mr. Lee gives the final statement on behalf of Sandra Castillo's family, I do wish the court to know that the two sons of Ms. Karen Vergata, Paul and Eric Doherty, are here in present court today in support of themselves, of course, and all the other victims' families that are here. Thank you.
Certainly.
This is the victim impact statement of Ruth Catherine Ramos. To the Honorable Judge Timothy P. Mazie. My name is Ruth Ramos, and I am the sister of Sandra Castillo. We thank Your Honor for allowing us, alongside the other grieving families, to address the court today regarding the profound impact the loss of mothers, daughters, and sisters has had on our lives. Receiving the news about my sister and the manner in which she was discovered is a level of devastation from which we will never fully recover. Today is a deeply meaningful and long-awaited day, not only for Sandra's family, but for the other victims' families. Amber, Valerie, Karen, Jessica, Maureen, Melissa, and Megan. It was always my hope that the person responsible for destroying our family and the families of so many would someday be held fully accountable, and that day is here. While justice cannot bring Amber, Valerie, Karen, Jessica, Maureen, Melissa, Megan, and Sandra back, it ensures they are no longer forgotten and brings our families peace, knowing that the person responsible for our irreversible pain can never harm anyone else. We had feared this day would never happen. However, the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office proved us wrong. This day would never have been possible without the tireless dedication of the task force with the District Attorney's Office, and I would like to specifically comment on District Attorney Raymond Tierney for his relentless pursuit of justice and leadership. The persistence and diligence shown by this team are truly commendable. We thought this was a lost case, but they proved otherwise. We are incredibly grateful to everyone who worked on this investigation, paid meticulous attention to detail, and demonstrated such deep care for the families experiencing such a horrible tragedy and loss. We cannot say enough thanks to all the participants. Sandra was a beautiful, intelligent young woman with endless potential. Her life changed completely when she had her son, Zach. He was the center of her world, and Sandra cherished every moment of being a mother. While our lives were permanently altered that day, the greatest loss was one experienced by Zach. Losing his mother at such a young age is an unimaginable hardship that has robbed him of her guidance and her love, and one that no child should ever have to endure. Zach grew up never knowing her, and the loss has had an irreversible impact on his life and has caused significant emotional distress throughout his life. As this long journey to find justice for Sandra, Amber, Valerie, Karen, Jessica, Maureen, Melissa, and Megan comes to a close, my heart is with all the families, and it is my deepest hope that their loved ones will find peace and will honor their lives by living their best lives. And may the children left behind carry on a beautiful legacy of their mothers. Respectfully submitted, Ruth Ramos. Your Honor, that concludes the victim impact portion of the proceedings. At this time, with the court's permission, I will turn it over to the district attorney.
Mr. Tierney.
Thank you, Your Honor. I knew the victim impact portion of the sentencing would be impactful, but that was spectacularly impactful. And I want to thank the victims not only for their words in the courtroom, but I also want to thank them for their support of us, the District Attorney's Office, the task force in this case, and their loved ones, right from the very beginning. They're truly extraordinary people, and I want to thank the court as well, Your Honor, for the many courtesies that you extend both to myself and Mr. Brown and his team. So thank you very much for that, Your Honor, and thank you to your staff and the court officers as well. With regard to the sentence, Your Honor, the people respectfully request that the court impose the bargain for sentence of this case, which is 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole on the 3 murder and the first degree convictions pertaining to counts 1 through 3 of the indictment regarding Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello, followed by 4 consecutive sentences of 25 years, of between 25 years and life imprisonment to run consecutive to each other and consecutive to counts 1 and 3, pertaining to the murder and the second degree convictions regarding in count 7, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, in count 8, Jessica Taylor, in count 9, Valerie Mack, and in count 10, Sandra Castilla. I should note, Your Honor, that although the defendant didn't plead guilty, he did take responsibility for the murder of Karen Brigada. Your Honor, this request is made and based on, of course, the bargain for disposition in this case, the facts and circumstances of this case, the effect that this defendant's crimes have had on the victims and their families, which we just heard about, and the defendant's character and background. All of those considerations, Your Honor, demand the maximum sentence allowed by law. First and foremost, I want to talk about this defendant's crime and the effect that it's had on the victim's family. Obviously, that's self-evident, Your Honor. 8 young women were needlessly and brutally murdered at the hands of this defendant. And thanks to the victims' families, the court has learned a little bit about their ordeal, the ordeal that each of these families have gone through as a result of this defendant's actions. It couldn't have been easy for those people and those family members to stand up in court. This isn't what they do, Your Honor, but they did it anyway because they love their family members. They got up, they told their stories, and I want to thank them for that because they said it in a way that only they could, and they said it way better than I could, and that I will. So I'm not going to belabor the point. I'm going to let their words speak for themselves. But suffice to say, Your Honor, that the effect that this case has had on them is overwhelming. Not only on the victims who lost their lives, but also on the victims' mothers, siblings, children, friends, significant others, aunts, cousins, and again, we heard a little bit about that. That pain, Your Honor, is ever present, it's intergenerational, and it's never going to end for any of those family members. But we also saw, notwithstanding that, Your Honor, they were also able to rise above it and overcome it. And again, they are the inspiration to our team, and they are what this case should be about, their strength and their resilience. Again, Your Honor, they said it best. I'm not going to belabor the point. But suffice to say that the defendant has earned a maximum sentence in this case based solely upon the effect that he has had on the victims and the victims' families. But of course, Your Honor, that's not all. The particular facts and circumstances of this case and the defendant's character or lack thereof cry out for the maximum sentence as well. This is a defendant who meticulously planned the murder of 8 young women. He obsessed over every detail as a means to both prepare for the next murder and also to relive the twisted gratification and sick pleasure he derived from taking the lives of 8 young women. There's nothing the defendant can say or do in this courtroom that could mitigate what he has taken from those women and their families. Any remorse shown is insufficient and far too little. It is all too little and too late. As the court is aware, the defendant has permitted certain information to trickle out through statements made to his ex-wife and his therapist, but those are nothing more than pathetic attempts by this defendant to continue to manipulate his family and control that family, control both his family and the message of this case. The true message of this case was delivered by those victims today, Your Honor. That's what this case is about. And I submit that nothing that this defendant has to say past his arrest, which occurred in July of 2023, anything he says beyond that is meaningless and self-serving. It's meant merely to deflect from his own guilty actions. I have no doubt that this defendant is very sorry, Your Honor. He is sorry. He is sorry he got caught. What is important, Your Honor, is the statements made by this defendant prior to his arrest, and the actions taken by his defendant prior to that arrest as well, because those things reveal what this defendant is truly about. Who this defendant truly is seen in that planning document that was recovered from one of the defendant's electronic devices that was recovered by the task force during the execution of the first search warrant. In that document, the defendant coldly plans out the murder of multiple women as though he is addressing a math problem or filling out a shopping list. Absent from that document is any regard for or concern for the humanity of those women and the lives he took. It is clear that these victims meant nothing to that defendant. He addresses issues and problems arising out of mass murder only in the context of how those issues affect him. He gives himself reminders regarding regarding his own comfort, and he has no regard for the pain he inflicted upon those victims. And just real briefly, Your Honor, from that, you see when he talks about what he needs to dispose of, he talks of props, toys, wood items that he made himself with members of his own family, that he kept in his house and he used during the execution of his murders, only to destroy them. He talks about how sound travels, i.e. a bird outside. What he's saying is, if I can hear a bird outside, that means people outside can hear what I'm doing inside my house. So I need to control the amount of air in and out of the victims, so you can control the noise made, to avoid detection, to avoid responsibility. He says, he reminds himself to get sleep before the hunt, because if he's too tired, it creates problems. Again, he's treating this as though it was sport, the taking of lives as though it were sport. He talks about hitting too harder. He talks about hitting harder and consider a hit to the face to take down the victims the next time. He's already thinking about the next time. In another part of the document, he says, small is good. This is a hulking individual who is going after petite women. He is a coward. He's talking about if he has more sleep, if he's able to control the noise, he will have more playtime. Again, this is sport to this defendant. The taking of life is sport. Again, Your Honor, no concern for the victims and the pain and terror he inflicted upon them whatsoever. He lures these victims to his home, murders them, and disposes of them in the same house he lives with his wife and 2 children. The same house his ex-wife still lives in. And then he joins that same family on a nice vacation that he only planned so he could so that he could be alone with those victims in the first place. That, Your Honor, is who this defendant is. This defendant is also someone who continually purchased burner phones and created fictitious email addresses to use with those phones. He thought those email addresses and burner phones could not be traced back to him. He was wrong, Your Honor. Throughout the investigation, we saw that this defendant continued to use those burner phones up until the time he was arrested. In fact, on the day of his arrest, we recovered 2 such burner phones from his possession. We were able to trace those burner phones as far back as 2007. So at least as far back as between 2007 and 2023, he was using these burner phones. And what did he use those burner phones for? To patronize sex workers and commit murder. He had separate phones in which he contacted hundreds of sex workers. Once someone was marked for death, the defendant also had 4 separate burner phones he used exclusively to lure and kill the Gilgo 4, Maureen Brandon Barnes, Melissa Bartholomew, Amber Costello, and Megan Waterman. We were able to trace the defendant's patronization of sex workers all the way back to 1993, from 1993 to the day of his arrest. That, Your Honor, is who this defendant is. What else did the defendant use the burner phones for? Fictitious email accounts used to make Google searches and access websites. The defendant thought these accounts couldn't be traced. The defendant was wrong. The defendant searched thousands of sex worker sites. He visited countless pornographic websites featuring the torture and dismemberment of women. He excessively searched websites featuring the status of the Gilgo Beach investigation, hoping to gain insight into our investigation. He searched for photos of the victims and their family members. He tried to learn where the family members were living. He thought these actions couldn't be traced. They could be. He thought he was being smart. He wasn't being smart at all. That, Your Honor, is who this defendant is. The defendant would like us to believe that these murders just happened. They didn't, Your Honor. These murders were meticulously planned out by a psychopath who thought nothing of the victims and the consequences of his actions. But almost just as bad, Your Honor, he also never thought about the effect and consequences that his actions would have on those he claims to care about most of all, his wife, and 2 children. Moreover, rather than express remorse or contrition for his heinous actions, he has sought to enrich himself through this conduct through his own family, who he continues to manipulate and control behind bars. If there's one thing that this case shows, it's that this defendant cares only about himself and his sick interests. He's incapable of caring about he is not capable of caring about anything else, and that includes his own family. I've been primarily talking about the defendant's actions. Now I'm going to talk about his words, again, prior to his arrest. We've already heard about this. In July and August of 2009, a few weeks after this defendant murdered Melissa Bartholomew, he contacted Melissa's 15-year-old sister, Melissa's then 15-year-old sister, Amanda, who we just heard from. And he used the same cell phone that he stole from Melissa after he murdered her. So he stole Melissa's life, and then he stole her cell phone and used it to call her 15-year-old sister. Murdering, torturing, and tormenting Melissa Bartholomew wasn't enough for this defendant. He also wanted to torture and torment a 15-year-old child. And what this defendant said to that 15-year-old child after he murdered her beloved sister is detailed in the pre-sentence investigation, and Amanda talked about it. I'm not going to get into the details of that, but suffice to say, Your Honor, any person who would say those things to a grieving 15-year-old child, desperately trying to find her missing sister, that person is not good, as this defendant self-described himself to probation personnel in the pre-sentence investigation report. Quite the opposite, actually. This defendant is a monster, incapable of remorse, redemption, or rehabilitation. But there's one portion of that conversation that I am going to talk about that I want to highlight, and that's the end of the portion of the series of conversations with Amanda, when Amanda asked this defendant if she was ever going to see her sister again, and the defendant told her, and I'm paraphrasing, "I can't tell you whether you're going to see your sister again, but I am going to wait, and then maybe I'll come tell you myself." Again, trying to torture that 15-year-old girl. And that, Your Honor, is all you really need to know about this defendant and who he is. He's smug, confident, not nearly as smart as he thinks he is. He delights in terrorizing others. He's always obsessed with himself and his own desires, and he cares nothing about the consequences of his own actions or the effect those consequences have on other people, including his own family members. But getting back to that statement, Your Honor, there's irony in that statement, because on that day that statement was made, it marked the time that Rex Heuermann went from being the hunter to becoming the hunted. The defendant never got the opportunity to come and look for Amanda and the other victims' family members like he tried to do in his internet searches. In fact, it was Amanda and the other families and their loved ones who stayed strong, stuck together, and came looking for the defendant. And on July 13th, 2023, when the task force came knocking on the defendant's door, it was his turn to be tormented and terrified. And he's tormented and terrified because of what he did, but because who he is. And it was his own arrogance, overconfidence, and missteps that led the task force directly to his door. So now, Your Honor, for the first time, this defendant stands before this court as the person he really is, a remorseless and sadistic serial killer who only cares about himself. Accordingly, Your Honor, we ask that the court deliver the only sentence that this defendant deserves, the only just sentence in this case based on the facts and circumstances, which is the maximum sentence allowed under New York State law. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Tierney. How you doing? All right. Mr. Brown, you wish to be heard?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. King. I just wanted to, can I briefly address the family?
Of course.
Thank you. Folks, I've never spoken to you over the last 3 years. I am sorry for your loss. As Mr. Tierney indicated, you folks are the reason why this case has come to this point. Your dedication, devotion, and insistence on making sure that this investigation came to this point is why we're here today. I've never met your sister, your daughter, your mother, your cousin, your friend, but I've been researching and studying this case day in, day out for the last 3 years. So even though I've never met them, I honestly feel like I know them. And I've obviously listened to what you had to say today. They were beautiful young ladies. Their memories will last forever, and I do sincerely apologize for the loss. In regards to the court judge, I just want to indicate we appreciate the defense team, your experience and knowledge in leading this case and handling this case. This obviously was a very difficult case for both sides. We appreciate that. In regards to the district attorney, I just want to point out, Judge, from the beginning of this case, they have exhibited true professionalism, and they've exhibited what attorneys should be. I will say the same about my defense team. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Heuermann, is there anything you wish to say before I pronounce sentence?
Yes. There are no.
Stand up.
There are no words I can say. I am responsible for what was said in this room today. The words I would say have no meaning. And I'm going to leave it there at this time.
Speak up.
Mr. Heuermann, as Mr. Tierney said, I know that you're sorry that you got caught. I assume that you're sorry for what you've done to your wife and children. Are you a little bit sorry for what you did to these poor innocent women? 8 women that you strangled to death, at least 8 that we know of. Are you at least a little bit sorry for that? Yes?
Yes, I am.
You know what? You've been described as a very big man, but you're a disgusting and despicable small man, if you're a man at all. And you're a coward. As a result of your plea of guilty to murder in the first degree under count 1 of indictment 73544 of 2024, it's essentially court that you serve the rest of your life without the possibility of parole. With respect to count 2, murder in the first degree, it's essentially court that you serve the rest of your life without the possibility of parole. With respect to count 3, plead guilty to murder in the first degree, it's essentially the court that you serve the rest of your life without the possibility of parole. Those 3 sentences to run consecutive with each other. With respect to count 7, murder in the second degree, it's essentially the court that you serve an indeterminate term of imprisonment with a minimum of 25 years and a maximum of your life. With respect to count 8, murder in the second degree, it's essentially the court that you serve an indeterminate term of imprisonment with a minimum of 25 years and a maximum of your life. With respect to count 9, murder in the second degree, it's essentially the court that you serve an indeterminate term of imprisonment with a minimum of 25 years and a maximum of your life. And finally, with respect to count 10, murder in the second degree, it's essentially the court that you serve an indeterminate term of imprisonment with a minimum of 25 years and a maximum of your life. All of those sentences to run consecutive with each other. Mr. Tierney, with respect to counts 4, 5, and 6.
Move to dismiss, Your Honor, in satisfaction of that sentence.
That application is granted. Other agencies to collect. Anything else, gentlemen?
Nothing from the people.
Mr. Brown?
Nothing further.
All right, get him out of here.
Serving on defense, order directing the surrender of firearms, rifles, and shotguns. That order will go back with you at the jail.
Else they rape you in the ass and kill you. You already know what the face is gonna look like. At least we know where you are.
Those were hecklers. Well, yeah, that was quite something. That was better than I expected. Yeah, he has horrible hair. Like Sarah Boone, someone else, I think Phil or friggin' Pope said that too. He's rocking the Sarah helmet. He said, "You're the fucking worst. Get the fuck out of here." That's what he said. Oh, well, he said, Rex said, like, nothing I say can make this better. So, you know what, Disney, growing up in South Florida, I wouldn't think would mean you have a bit of New York in you, but you definitely have a bit of New York in you for sure. So maybe there is a connection there that I'm missing. Although I had an aunt who moved to Jacksonville, Florida after her life took a turn. Surprised the judge didn't hand out tomatoes to throw at him. Yeah, I mean, hi, Cliff. I didn't realize it was you. I'm glad you're here. I mean, what a mess. So we'll listen now to the link that Carolina. Oh, you did. Interesting. I didn't even know there was a Jacksonville, Florida. I mean, it was a long, several years ago that my aunt moved there. Long, long time ago. Yes, that counts. It's really all that matters, actually. You can order New York pizza. Well, I know in Minnesota you can. You can have New York pizza delivered to you from probably any place in the country. I don't know. Let me find this link. I start it. No, that's not it. What is the point of starring something if they're not going to save it for me starred? He was actively killing for, I mean, at least 30 years, probably more. He's probably killed many, many, many people, mostly women, but some men and children or in small babies also. Whoever got in his way. Is Carolina still here? I can find the link. I just have to go up. You see, and I didn't think that the judge had an accent, which just goes to show how I grew up. Thank you. Yeah. See, I can always. He's not from Secaucus, I'll tell you that much. Thank you, Carolina. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Garita. Oh, this is the one you just sent again. I think it was again is him being interviewed at his office. We can listen to that too. I mean, there's plenty of stuff on him. So let me just get this one. Shit, what happened? What? I swear to God. This is so weird. When I go, so Carolina just linked the interview. Some guy, some French guy, did in New York, I guess, did an interview. I've seen it a few times with Rex Heuermann before. When he was just a, an architect that looked like an ogre before everyone knew he was a murderer, serial killer. And when I went now, twice I've tried it to save it because I have to save it to the live playlist so I can share that screen. When I go to save it, it says this is not available for content made for kids. Strange, right? I mean, obviously that's some kind of thing that and comments are turned off. Like he obviously has the settings for this video a certain way for certain reasons, but I did not expect that. Was there another link that you had sent also? I thought there was a link. Isn't there a link with or something with the calls for the Cliff? Don't be so sure that your accent went anywhere. I find that although I don't have a New York accent at all, people every once in a while think that I do. Okay, hang on. I'm about to lose power on this other laptop. Hang on. This is the same one though, right? Or am I just keep clicking on the same one? Was the first link that you sent that we talked about watching, was that the same? Was that the interview with him? Nope, same thing. This action is turned off for content made for kids. Someone should check out that French guy too. Where are you? Where's what? I have a Western New York, which is where exactly? I wouldn't. All New York accents pretty. They don't sound exactly the same to me, but they may as well be, right? Like as long as it's not a Boston accent, who cares? Um, yeah, that's very strange, right? I don't. Oh, I mean, I can turn the accent off, and I don't have it all the time. But I mean, you've all heard me talk, you know. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, I was saying that I had heard something about, it may have been my bestie who told me this, that she saw or read something that one of Rex Heuermann's ex-schoolmates saw, like was reading something about him being a or about a Rex Heuermann who was a serial killer. And she was like, that's so weird that there's more than one Rex Heuermann. Totally thinking that there's no way it could have been him. I mean, if you go to school with a guy who looks like that, and he's not the first, and his name comes up, and he's not the first one that comes to mind, but you know, people don't think about it. Yeah, I mean, and Nicole, you and I used to talk like that all the time, like as a joke, and then it sticks, and then forget about it. We could put out. I must have Matt Abrams while we wait. Hang on. I don't know what we're waiting for though. That's my concern. Yeah, y'all is very easy. Oh no, you don't, Aunt Trishy. I don't have children protection on. No. I don't know. I mean, I just don't understand why that would come up at all because I haven't even mentioned, I didn't even say what I wanted to save it to. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. I don't have any children. I don't have any videos for children. I don't dislike children, just to clarify. I'm just joking when I say I don't like hearing them enjoying themselves outside. Can I mean yeah, park your car on the corner. Oh, that's all right. Don't worry. Go visit with your son, Carolina. You've done enough. Nothing interesting happened. I just couldn't access that video to play it. That's all. Secaucus. Hang on, I'm going to look for another one, for one, something else about Rex, since some of us apparently haven't really. Wait a minute. I'm concerned that I'm going to lose power here in a second, though. Let's see if we can find that interview again. I mean, let's see this. Hang on. Hang on, people. Okay. So I was able to save that. So I don't know. It's just that French dude being doing weird things, as the French tend to do.
On May 14th, 2026,
Nope.
officers responded.
Shh.
We're all familiar with alter egos. Clark Kent is Superman, Bruce Wayne is Batman, and Peter Parker is Spider-Man. These heroes lead double lives to hide their true power from the public
Shut up.
and their enemies. It towered over the law enforcement officials, interviews with those who knew us, the mean streak in him, and bury a dozen elderly men, just said. He may have been projecting the loving, doting son, but Pastor Ken assaulted her from 1961 until 19...
Okay, I don't know. I don't understand.
A couple investigators from the homicide
about the Gilgo Beach serial killings, I want to tell you about an app that I've been using that I really like. It's called Upside. And Upside will get you cash back on things you buy every day. Verify the purchase and boom, gallon on your first tank of gas.
Catch them right.
What the fuck is the point of paying for YouTube Premium if we're going to have to watch ads anyway? Fuck you.
A couple of yards away from him heading home. It probably...
I'm standing at the corner of 5th Avenue and East 36th Street. This is the area where Rex Heuermann, the Gilgo Beach serial killer, was taken into custody nearly 3 years ago for those horrific murders.
He first started killing in 1993 when he was 29 years old. Now he's 57, 58 years old. He probably thought he still got away with it. And for us to come out the blue, grab him out of his office, catch him right a couple of yards away from him heading home, it probably surprised him, I think.
Former Suffolk County Police Commissioner.
Hi, not intentional. I like Sylvester the cat too, by the way, and his son.
Rodney Harrison helped form the Gilgo Beach Task Force, which led to Rex Heuermann being identified as the prime suspect in the murders. It was July 13th, 2023, When Heuermann was leaving
Not
work,
really, but
as he
close enough.
usually did, he
Something.
was walking down Fifth Avenue near 36th
I don't
Street
know what
when
this
law
is.
enforcement moved in. Now, nearly 3 years later, Heuermann has pleaded guilty to the murders of 7 women. The first, Sandra Castilla, in November 1993. Valerie Mack was killed in 2000. Jessica Taylor in 2003. Then more.
It's interesting because these are the women whose adult children we just saw.
Maureen Brainerd Barnes was murdered in 2007. 2 years later, in 2009, Melissa Barthélemy vanished. Megan Waterman died in June 2010. And a few months after that, Amber Lynn Costello disappeared in September 2010. Heuermann admitted to the murder of an 8th woman, Karen Vergata, in 1996,
Okay,
but he didn't enter a plea in her death.
Thank you. Not
Some people
intentional.
believed that the murders
Possible.
might never be solved. The bodies of the Gilgo Four, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, and Melissa Barthélemy were discovered along Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach in December 2010. The grim discovery of the bodies of 4 petite women who worked as sex workers rocked Long Island and led to one of the longest and most intense serial killing investigations in New York history. The investigation made good progress early on, with investigators uncovering cell phone pings from Massapequa Park on Long Island and Midtown Manhattan. But then in 2012, a new police chief, James Burke, took over, and the investigation's momentum seemed to stall. The feds were pushed out, and the Gilgo Beach serial killer case appeared to go cold. Then Rodney Harrison was named Suffolk County Police Commissioner in late 2021. At the same time, Heuermann admitted to the murder of
Sorry, I just had to pause for a second because this girl, who was a girl when she went missing, I don't know, a million years ago, like in 1970 something. She lived like right on my block. I mean, the block I live on now, not the block I lived in as a kid, and it was just so crazy to me because she was just, I mean, they just like had solved her case a few years ago. She lived right in the area I live in now. That's all.
an 8th woman, Karen Vergata, in 1996, but he didn't enter a plea in her death. Some people believed that the murders might never be solved. The bodies of the Gilgo Four, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, and Melissa Barthélemy were discovered along Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach in December 2010. The grim discovery of the bodies of 4 petite women who worked as sex workers rocked Long Island and led to one of the longest and most intense serial killing investigations in New York history. The investigation made good progress early on, with investigators uncovering cell phone pings from Massapequa Park on Long Island and Midtown Manhattan. But then in 2012, a new police chief, James Burke, took over, and the investigation's momentum seemed to stall. The feds were pushed out, and the Gilgo Beach serial killer case appeared to go cold. Then Rodney Harrison was named Suffolk County Police Commissioner in late 2021. At the same time, Ray Tierney won the Suffolk County DA's race, and the following year, the Gilgo Beach Task Force was born.
So when I reached out to the FBI, they had some concerns, and I said, hey, listen, we're starting up this task force. We have the district attorney's office working with us. State police is working with us. We'd like to maybe see if you could help out. And I understand there might have been some frustrations in the past, and they told me absolutely not. We're not working with you or your investigators over there because they've been outcasted in the past. They haven't had access to the case and investigative steps that were done. This is a somewhat of a common occurrence where investigators don't want outside help.
Hi, Regina. It's good to see you. Yeah, the hair, the bows in her hair are like, wow.
Though they could handle investigations by themselves. But the Suffolk County Police Department doesn't necessarily have the top notch when it comes to resources and databases. And that's why the FBI, I thought, would be extremely instrumental, in which they end up being. So I had to kind of explain to them, like, going forward, you're not going to have any more problems. And if you do, I'm here now. Me being a little bit of an outsider, I didn't have any allegiances or I had to placate to anybody.
Okay.
Another issue that I forecasted was if the FBI had to walk into the office where the Suffolk County investigators were, they probably would feel a little bit of a tension if they had to respond there. So the strategy was this: cultivate a office where they can be designated off by themselves. Get a couple investigators from the homicide team in Suffolk County. Get some people from the state police. They provided a female investigator that was phenomenal. The FBI, as well as the sheriff's office, all working under one roof, one office, and putting their heads together, to take a closer look at what mistakes were made in the earlier parts of the investigation and what we need to do going forward.
The work of solving the Gilgo Beach murders had renewed energy. There was vital cell phone evidence and a witness description from the roommate of Amber Costello, who said one of her clients drove a green Chevy Avalanche.
And the Green Avalanche really cracked this case wide open.
The Green Avalanche, the database check into Massapequa Park, looking for somebody that had a Green Avalanche because one of Amber Costello's roommates shared that one of Amber Costello's clients drove a Green Avalanche. Taking that information and being able to look at Green Avalanches inside the Massapequa Park area was the game changer in the investigation.
And he looked like an ogre. Wasn't that the description?
That helped as well. You know, that was one of the reasons why he kind of stood out so much. Him being 6'4", 300 pounds, looking like an ogre, bushy hair. He's one of the individuals that Amber Costello's roommates chose not to rob. And that was one of their things that they would do. Anytime a client would come by, they would what's called roll them and take their money. They chose not to roll this individual because of his size, but they did remember him, and they do remember the car that he drove.
A search of Green Avalanches in Massapequa Park led to one name, Rex Heuermann, an architect who lived there and worked in Manhattan. But there was still more work to do. The investigation revealed Rex Heuermann liked to patronize sex workers and sometimes sent them selfies, and he would often do so using prepaid burner phones.
You know, everything from internet searches to getting burner phones and him on certain internet applications to engage with sex workers and some other things that really troubled us to show that he was involved with sex workers. And his one engagement with Amber Costello was not the only time he was involved in this activity. It really showed that this person lives I'll say a deviant lifestyle.
And then there was the DNA evidence, a sample of Heuermann's DNA collected from pizza crust that he had tossed in the trash.
So my biggest problem with the DNA coming back is it took a long time. And when we got the pizza crust and we sent it to the lab out in Pennsylvania, I wanted to make sure, and this is once again, this is kind of like a NYPD executive thing. We wanted them to let it be known that this case is not just your average case. This is a serial killer case that's over 10 years old, and we need the results right away. Can you please put this on the top of your cases? And I'm not sure what misunderstanding happened or occurred, but it didn't get prioritized. And I kept calling to see what was taking so long, and they didn't have the answers. And I got so frustrated that I had my deputy police commissioner, Anthony Carter, take a ride out there, sit down with the scientists and explain to them, hey, listen, I don't know if you know what's going on with this case, but we need the results back as quickly as possible. And the unfortunate part is they did not know that in the beginning part. But once we had that sit down with them, they got right on it and we got the results back in a timely manner.
When the DNA came back as a match to hairs found on the victims, it was time to indict Rex Heuermann, and police moved in to make the arrest on July 13th, 2023.
So he's just walking down Fifth Avenue
as any other New Yorker would be doing, coming out of work, you decide it's a safety issue. So that's why you move in on him on the street, because you don't know what could happen if you take him into custody in his office. I mean,
Well,
he could have a weapon in there. Other people could be put in danger, right?
Well, one of my concerns, just being in law enforcement for 30 years and knowing somebody's registered, has 97, at the time, 97 registered guns attached to them, my biggest concern was, if we move in on him, is this going to be a situation where it could turn into a shootout? So I did have some concerns. Does he carry a gun? Was there a gun inside the bag? You know, he's a big guy. Is he going to push off and then start a big shootout? So there were some concerns, but talking to the men and women assigned to the task force, they thought this was the best strategy. Working with Ray Turney, making sure that, you know, we try to get an opportunity to talk to him, see if he'd be willing to share some information, is the reason why we locked him up here. And the strategy was to transport him back to Yaphank, Long Island, to see if he'd be willing to cooperate, but he didn't.
Were you surprised that he didn't want to talk, that he lawyered up?
I'm not sure if the word is surprise. I will say this, just knowing that he didn't want to say anything, that's kind of something that people that commit crimes do all the time. They just was called lawyered up. So him asking for a lawyer is not a big shock for me. Once again, his reaction was a little alarming. It raised my attention a little bit because, once again, if you're being accused for the deaths of the women from Ocean Parkway and the only response or reaction is, I want a lawyer, I don't know. I really, when I heard that information, it raised some concern.
Rex Heuermann was booked on murder charges.
Rodney, this is your first time here at the spot where Rex Heuermann was taken into custody almost 3 years ago.
Yep.
So what's it like to be standing here in the spot where, you know, your officers scooped him up?
Well, listen, I don't have any necessarily feelings about being here right now. I just know that the men and women assigned to the task force really did a great job keeping tabs on his whereabouts, making sure we cultivated signs of evidence to attach him to the bodies that were discovered on Ocean Parkway. And then compliments to Ray Turney that was able to make a decision and pull the trigger in regards to the day of where and when we're going to place him under arrest. So it was a nice team effort of law enforcement officials out in Suffolk County that allowed this location to be the place where we got this horrible individual off the streets.
Were you surprised when they came to you and said Rex Heuermann is our prime suspect, that it was an architect working here in Manhattan, that this was your guy, a guy who looks like just a family man going to work each day at his architectural firm?
So serial killers come in all shapes and sizes. Listen, I wasn't necessarily in a place where I automatically assumed that Rex Heuermann was a guy. I know there still needed to be a lot more of an investigation to try to attach him to the death of these
Stupid
women.
question.
So, and this is a homicide investigation 101. Like, you don't get a suspect and automatically say, oh, well, this is a person. You have to now start building the case up. And what can we do to attach him to the deaths? And it's either technology, it's scientists, it's cooperators. There's a lot of different roles of evidence that we had to put together to say, hey, listen, Rex Heuermann's our guy. But one thing I will say is this: even once we had him identified, we still continued an investigation, try to get people to cooperate from a host of different ways. And as the case started building, we started seeing some of his habits, and that kind of strengthened our situation of making him a person of interest.
As the months wore on, Heuermann was charged with murdering more women: Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Sandra Castilla, Jessica Taylor, and Valerie Mack. For more than 2 years, at least publicly, Rex Heuermann maintained he didn't commit the murders, despite overwhelming DNA evidence from hairs that linked him to the killings of 7 of the women. Then in
I don't
April
think he was all that
2026,
old, Money.
Heuermann changed his plea.
Have you discussed this case with your attorney?
Yes, I have.
Have you had enough time to discuss this case with your attorney?
Yes, I have.
After discussions with your lawyer, you feel it's in your best interest to plead guilty rather than go to trial?
Yes, Your Honor.
The families of the victims were spared a trial and hearing the gruesome details about what happened to their mothers, daughters, and sisters.
And I am the daughter of Megan Waterman, and on behalf of her and my aunt and all of our family back home, we do accept and we are very, very thankful for everything that they've done for us. Today, that
I like that aunt. She really let him have it. The one who my face is over her. Oh no, this is the next family. I would be curious, and I don't know if. No, I didn't, Malgi. I was just butting in to your conversation. I didn't mean Stanford Rush. I thought you were talking about this idiot. Duck and face. I would be curious if, and I mean, I can't remember everything I watched on him, but surely you would think they would have a profile or, or if we talked about this. I wonder what that would have looked like. And I can't stand that question they always act like. Were you surprised that it was an architect? No, we thought it was going to be an actual ogre living under a bridge eating a goat. I mean, stupid. Yeah, he looks like an ogre, but that gives a bad name to ogres. He's like a Shrek, like pink Shrek.
long, painful journey brings us to this moment. Our mission, our promise to Maureen, is finally met with accountability. For Melissa's, Megan's, Amber's, Jessica's, Valerie's, Sandra's, and Karen's family, I stand with you in deep love and understanding. No one should ever have to walk this path, yet here we all are, connected by loss, by strength, and the unbreakable bond of our loved ones. The bond some of us has created has been one that is unique in a sense that it did not form from a previous friendship or blood. It was created by trying to pick up the pieces of our world that had shattered in tragedy. And I am so grateful for us. To every family out there still searching, still waiting, still holding on, please do not give up hope. Even when it feels impossible, even when the years pass and the silence grow heavy, keep going. Your loved ones matter. They are not forgotten, and one day answers can come. Finally, to Maureen, the promise I made to you so long ago was simple. Sorry. I would never stop searching for justice for you. Through every year, every setback, every unanswered question, I carried you with me, and I kept that promise. And today, it has been done. Justice has finally found its way to you. Your voice was never silenced, your story never forgotten, and your life will always be more than the tragedy that took you. This moment is not the end, but a reminder that love endures, truth prevails, and hope never fades, because even in the darkest moments, justice will find its way.
DA Ray Tierney hinted that there was even more evidence than the public had not known about previously.
Division, we recovered a Bounty paper towel off of the crime scene of Megan Waterman. They processed that and they compared that to the same Bounty towel that we recovered in the home of the defendant. They matched, and this was a memento that we argued the defendant kept. Would have been a key piece of evidence.
We're now a couple of days out from the sentencing.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts and feelings? I mean, you were such a vital part of actually bringing that task force together and finally bringing this to a conclusion.
Listen, I'm an advocate for victims. We have survivors involved, the family members that, unfortunately, with so many years without any questions answered, just being able to bring some level of closure and comfort to them, knowing that the person that took your loved one away will never see the light of day again. There's a little bit of happiness knowing that I had a role in getting this person into jail and hopefully be off the streets for the rest of his life.
Do you think that he has committed more murders than the ones that he's pleading guilty to?
I do believe that there should be a continued investigation into Rex Heuermann. I know that his DNA will eventually go into the CODIS system, And hopefully with the task force still being put in place, we may be able to say either identify other bodies that may not have been identified or discovered towards Rex Heuermann. So listen, I'm not going to sit here and speculate and say there's more bodies attached, but I'm just glad to see that there's going to be a continued investigation to rule out if there is or is not other victims out there that are attached to Rex Heuermann.
Rodney Harrison has written a book about his career in the Gilgo Beach murders. It's entitled The Commissioner: From Street Cop to Top Cop in the NYPD, and the inside story of the hunt for the Gilgo Beach serial killer.
And on Wednesday, June 17th, Rex Heuermann will be formally sentenced for those 7 horrific murders. He will be sentenced to several consecutive life sentences. He's also, as I mentioned, admitted to an 8th murder, the murder of Karen Vergata. Law and Crime will have complete coverage of that for you. Again, I'm Anjanette Levy in Midtown Manhattan. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Crime Fix.
You can look at me while I'm talking.
After decades.
Maybe we'll watch this again because not everyone saw it.
Decades of waiting.
This is well, we'll see.
The tables have turned. Families of the victims of the Long Island serial killer finally got the chance to face the man who took their mothers, daughters, and sisters. And when Rex Heuermann spoke, the judge didn't hold back.
You know what? You've been described as a very big man. You're a disgusting and despicable small man, if you're a man at all. And you're a coward.
From Suffolk County, New York.
I did hear the accent a little there.
I'll take you inside that emotional sentencing and the chilling details behind what investigators say he planned for years.
You know, before we get into this incredibly horrific case,
Any of the goals that she had set for herself, and she did. She had hopes and she had dreams, and you took it all away.
Judge Timothy Waterman, Melissa Bartholomew, and Amber Costello. They were young women who had families who loved them. The women had hopes and dreams, but were targeted by a sadistic monster because of their small size and simply because they were vulnerable, working as sex workers. The murders began in 1993 with the death of Sandra Castilla. The last victim, Amber Costello, was murdered in 2010. Her body and the bodies of Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, and Melissa Bartholomew were discovered later that year in December. Melissa's younger sister, Amanda, was just a teenager when her sister vanished.
I was 15 years old. I know you don't care. I was just going into 10th grade, and I never got to finish because even when I was in school, my mind wasn't actually present. I was robbed of my youth, I was robbed of my young adulthood, and I still feel robbed to this day. There were so many years that I didn't want to be on this earth anymore.
Then there was an incredibly powerful moment when Amanda Funderburg turned to Rex Heuermann and ordered him to look at her.
You can look at me while I'm talking. It's been about 17 years since we spoke, don't forget. You tarnished the relationship between my mother and I for a while. She was afraid for me because of you. She was afraid when I left the house that I wouldn't return. And it was also hard for her to be there for me the way I needed her to be. When she herself was fighting for my sister's life, for someone to take us seriously, fighting for her own life and for her sanity. Thankfully, we were able to reconcile that relationship, something you'll probably never have with your daughter. And I hope that's something that haunts you for the rest of what I hope is a very short-lived life. I was forced to live with crippling anxiety, depression, PTSD, and a destroyed nervous system. I was filled with rage and sadness every single day. For a while, depression had got the best of me, so I barely ate, and I cried and slept on repeat. I was afraid of people that looked at me for too long. I was mortified anytime I heard a noise if I was home alone. I had to check the back of my car every time I got in. I was weary about meeting new people or being in large crowds. My heart even skipped a beat if I got a call from a blocked number. Constantly staring at my phone waiting for the next call from you.
Heuermann had called Amanda from Melissa's cell phone after murdering her and called her awful names, taunting her. Now he had to listen to a woman give him an order. The daughter of Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Nicolette, also spoke.
When we talk about the case, I'd like to talk about my mom. She was a warm, bubbly, funny, intelligent, and artistic person. Most of all, she had the biggest heart of anyone I've ever known. When she would pass an unhoused person on the street, she would literally give them her last dollar, or at least stop to acknowledge them and see how they were doing if she didn't have any money on her. She was a language arts girly, a poet, an avid reader. She was politically outspoken, and that carried through in her writing. She loved hip-hop and R&B music and would write raps in her poetry notebooks, saying she wanted to be a rapper. She had a strong sense of humor and the most contagious laugh. She was young at heart, but she was also just young. She lived for only another few weeks past her 25th birthday. When I myself turned 25, it wasn't the joyful milestone that most young people enjoy. It was jarring and painful because I knew that it meant I'd now lived longer than my mom did. Today, I'm nearly 2 years older than she will ever be. Rex Heuermann stole decades of life from a woman who should still be here making memories with the people who love her.
My name is Dylan, and I am the son of Maureen. When I lost her, I was just 1 year old. My earliest memories are defined by anxiety, fear, and sadness, not knowing where she had went and why I did not have her in my life. I don't remember her voice or her face or the love she gave me as a baby. I never had my mom to see me on my first days of school. I never had her when I graduated. I never had her when I needed her, and I will never have her in the future when I need her.
Maureen's sister described her as deeply insightful. She vanished in 2007.
Nothing could have prepared me for the day that Maureen didn't come home. At first, I kept telling myself that she would call at any moment, that everything would somehow be okay. But as days turned into years, that hope slowly faded into a devastating reality. After years of searching for Maureen, my world shattered. The day my sister was found in the brambles on the side of a dark, lonely highway. She was not just murdered, she was a victim of a predator, a serial killer. This was not just a murder, this was a calculated, unimaginable evil. It was a shock so profound that my mind and body could not process it. Because when Maureen was identified, it meant facing the truth that she was gone forever. And that pain is unbearable. I lived with survivor's guilt for over a decade. I replayed every moment over and over again in my mind.
Megan Waterman's aunt described how her niece came to be a sex worker.
Megan was being prostituted by King Cruz, a pimp who disguised himself as her boyfriend. And because of his trafficking of my niece, the prisoner who sits in this courtroom today was able to rob her of her life and rob those who loved her of a future with her. On June 6, 2010, the prisoner not only took all of Megan's hopes and dreams, but he also shattered our family. I'm certain my niece fought as hard as she possibly could to come back to her daughter, whom she loved with every fiber of her being. When you consider the size of this man and the fact that he searched for children and smaller statured victims, it becomes quite clear he was not a fearsome predator, but rather a cowardly opportunist. The prisoners planned to erase Megan, Maureen, Melissa, Amberlynn, Jessica, Valerie, Sandra, and Karen backfired. Because his vile and cowardly actions, our loved ones will be spoken of for years to come with love and reverence, not only by their families and friends, but by millions of people around the world who now mourn their loss.
And Megan's daughter, Liliana, spoke of the mother she never knew. She was just a toddler when Megan disappeared in June 2010.
My name is Liliana Waterman, and I'm the daughter of Megan Waterman. My mother went missing when I was just 3 years old. Her body was not found until I was 4. She was taken from me during the most important years of my life. A little girl needs her mom. I never got the chance to know what it was like to be comforted by her after a bad day, to hear her advice, or to grow up with her guidance and love. I was not fully aware of the horrific details of what had happened until I was around 9 years old. How do you tell a child that her mom was brutally murdered? I remember sitting at home in 4th grade, scrolling online when I came across an article about her. That was the moment I truly understood what had happened. I remember asking my grandparents what the word prostitute, pimp meant. In an instant, my world was shattered. My heart broke all over again. I have spent 16 mother days without my mom. I have lived thousands of days without her. I am now the same age my mom was when she was first pregnant with me, and I realized just how young she really was. I feel as though I have barely begun to understand life, yet she was denied the chance to live hers. Rex Heuermann did not just take my mother's life, he stole an entire lifetime of memories that me and her never got to make. He took away birthdays, holidays, conversations, hugs, advice, and every future moment a mother and daughter should have shared.
Valerie Mack's parents spoke about the loss of their daughter.
Mr. Heuermann, you have done horrendous things to Valerie's earthly body, but you have not touched the real Valerie. To paraphrase C.S. Lewis, there are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal. Everyone you've joked with, worked with, married, snuffed, or even killed is born an immortal creature. Each will live forever, either in majestic glory or imaginable horror. I can only imagine when my day comes and I find myself standing before Jesus, Valerie will be at his side.
What you have done to our family is beyond what words can express. Even though justice is done, it cannot replace what you have taken from us. Or can it give our beloved Valerie back her life here on earth? I do, however, want you to understand that even though you were able to commit these horrendous atrocities against our daughter, and no matter what sense of power or control you felt over Valerie's body, you were never able to touch her soul. I'm telling you, unless you get yourself right before God, Valerie is the one who is free today, and you are not. She is living her life with her Savior, Jesus Christ, and what you have done has gained you nothing. I'd like you to understand.
And Jessica Taylor's cousins spoke about losing her in such a horrific way.
Do you want to end up like Jessica? That is a question I heard many times as a teenager. Something spoken out of the fear of knowing what a monster is truly capable of. The answer was yes. I did want to end up like Jess. She was fierce, kind, compassionate, beautiful, and intelligent. She loved every person she met better than she found them, even if they only met for a moment. She never met a stranger. She was pure sunshine. I wish all of the time that I could know her as the woman that I am today, that I could see the woman she would have become, that I would have hugged her tighter the last time that I saw her, that she could know my son, the trips us and my sister could have had, the memories we could have continued to make. Instead, I try to remember her through the memories that I'm lucky to hold on to. I pray to her and I leave flowers in memory of her in the places that she was left behind.
I'll never forget how I felt when I got that call. I couldn't wrap my mind around the word torso. No way could someone do that to someone I love. Torso. Headless and handless. These words haunt me. Our prefrontal cortex had barely finished form. Torso? I thought that was a midriff. It's a chopped up body. No way. Disgusting, awful, terrifying, monstrous, brutal. What? Parts of her are all over the place missing? They didn't find all of her? All of her. Headless and handless. I still don't understand. That weekend, she was supposed to come home. That weekend, family and friends were looking for her. Loved ones were calling her. She wasn't gonna miss that weekend. She never picked up the phone. She didn't call anyone back because of you.
The family of Amber Costello provided a statement to be read. Not tape. Use heavy rope for neck. Light rope broke under stress of being tightened.
Sorry.
Heuermann also had a document that appeared to list planning and killing. It was called HK 2000.
I'm just
The
skipping
document
around a
listed
little.
problems like DNA, tire marks, blood stains, and fingerprints. Then there were supplies needed: booties, lye, police scanners,
Hi, detective.
rope, saw or cutting tools, hair nets, photo film, and the list goes on. Then there was a column for DS, which investigators believed meant dump site or dumpster site. The next list, TRG, which investigators believed meant target. Underneath that, it said small is good. But today, the focus was not on planning or the sick killer's twisted deeds. It was on the pain of the families and the final words of a killer.
50 Cent's production company, G Unit Film and Television Inc., working alongside Peacock streaming services to produce a docuseries that paid millions of dollars to the prisoner's ex-wife, daughter, stepson, and their attorneys is completely disgusting and inexcusable. When I read about this, I was both sickened and shocked and deeply disturbed.
Hi,
When it
VC.
came time for Rex Heuermann to speak, he stood at the judge's order.
Stand up.
Stand up, you monster.
There are no words I can say. I am responsible for what was said in this room today. The words I would say have no meaning. And I'm going to leave it there at this time.
Speak up.
Mr. Heuermann, as Mr. Tierney said, I know that you're sorry that you got caught. I assume that you're sorry for what you've done to your wife and children. Are you a little bit sorry for what you did to these poor innocent women? 8 women that you strangled to death, at least 8 that we know of. Are you at least a little bit sorry for that? Yes?
Yes, I am.
You know what? You've been described as a very big man, but you're a disgusting and despicable small man, if you're a man at all. And you're a coward.
Hey, Gypsy.
As a result of your plea of guilty to
Good.
murder in the
Stay
first
with us.
degree and count 1 of indictment 73544 of 2024, it's essentially court that you serve the rest of your life without the possibility of parole. With respect to count 2, murder in the first degree, it's essentially court that you serve the rest of your life without the possibility of parole. With respect to count 3, plead guilty to murder in the first degree, it's essentially the court that you serve the rest of your life without the possibility of parole. Those 3 sentences to run consecutive with each other. With respect to count 7, murder in the second degree, it's essentially the court that you serve an indeterminate term of imprisonment with a minimum of 25 years and a maximum of your life. With respect to count 8, murder in the second degree, it's essentially the court that you serve an indeterminate term of imprisonment with a minimum of 25 years and a maximum of your life. With respect to count 9, murder in the second degree, it's essentially the court that you serve an indeterminate term of imprisonment with a minimum of 25 years and a maximum of your life. And finally, with respect to count 10, murder in the second degree, it's essentially the court that you serve an indeterminate term of imprisonment with a minimum of 25 years and a maximum of your life. All of those sentences to run consecutive with each other. Mr. Tierney, with respect to counts 4, 5, and 6,
Move to dismiss, Your Honor, in satisfaction of that sentence.
that application is granted. Other agencies to collect. Anything else, gentlemen?
Nothing from the people, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Brown?
Nothing further.
All right, get him out of here.
One person who was noticeably absent from today's sentencing hearing, Rex Heuermann's ex-wife, Asa Ellerup. I spoke with Ellerup's lawyer, Bob Macedonio, before the sentencing about her decision to not attend.
She's not going tomorrow. She's doing very well. And the reason she's not going tomorrow, she believes, and rightfully so, that tomorrow is a day for the victims, their closure, their, finality on the case and seeing it put to rest, and doesn't want her appearance there to deflect or take any of the attention away where it should focus.
For a long time, it appeared that she did not believe that he carried out these homicides. I think any wife would have questions, would say, there's no way this happened in my house under my nose. And I think that's normal to be in some denial, but she's kind of come to grips with the fact that her husband is a serial killer.
She has come to grips with it. She does believe it. It was a long process. We spent, almost 2 years, with her before she came to the conclusion that he did do this. And then finally, at one point in time, he did admit to her in person that he was responsible for all these 8 homicides.
You visit Rex Heuermann periodically, is that right?
I've seen him on several occasions, spent, a good amount of time with him.
Why do you do that?
I represent ASA on the all civil matters, and there's been several documents that we need to get signed, the transfer of properties, and, different vehicles, go over the divorce documents, and discuss those issues with him, which he's not representing on. So Mike Brown represents him obviously on the criminal matters, but the other stuff he's not represented on.
What's that like when you go into the Suffolk County?
Okay, now it's over. I was going to say there was all kinds of sirens and shit going on here, and I was going to say just listen to what's going on here, but of course it's over now. So after we finish watching this, I have a palate cleanser for us, and then we can watch, if we want to, a few things about that Shannon Gilbert woman it was her mother who really started the Rex Heuermann and the investigation that led to Rex Heuermann, which should have been started years and years and years, decades ago. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's all kind of screaming and stuff going on out there.
Jail, into the detention center, and you're sitting there with this man who committed all these horrific murders that went unsolved for so many years. I mean, you're a lawyer, you're representing his ex-wife, but you're a human being. You live here.
He's always been professional, courteous, appropriate. He's articulate, and he's always asked questions that are appropriate from what we're discussing. And I never saw that side of him. I know there's another side of him. Obviously, we all know that now, but I never felt intimidated or, in kind of any fear when I was there with him. And, frankly, he's, like I said, he's been articulate and nice enough and personal enough where I've had normal conversations with him about, everyday current events. And so.
Is he personable?
He actually is. He actually has a sense of humor also. So it's unique to say that because, obviously he's responsible for, murdering 8 women, but that's a side hopefully none of us ever get to see again.
Is it odd when you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, this guy is personable and he is, jovial or what have you, but he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. There is this other side. I mean, how bizarre is that for you as a lawyer to have to sit there and deal with this?
It's not as bizarre as you would think because practicing criminal law for 30-something years, we deal with it on a regular basis that there are people that commit, violent, heinous acts that also do function in society. He just happens to commit, some that are high profile and they're all murders. But, I've had other murderers sit in the chair you're sitting in that you would not know that they served 25 years for murder. We've tried custody cases where we've gained custody of children for people that have done time for murder or homicides or different other kind of various crimes in the county. So people do present double lives at a time that you may not even know who you're dealing with. We come into contact with how many people in the course of a day. We really don't know what the rest of the day is like.
How many times have you been there with Rex visiting?
Probably a dozen, at least.
Any visits will now have to take place at a New York State prison where Heuermann will spend the rest of his days rotting in a prison cell, cooperating with the FBI's behavioral analysis unit as they try to find out what made him into such a monster. Heuermann's lawyer, Mike Brown, talked about what he said to the victims when he turned to address them in court.
Well, we discussed the fact that, really, they were an intricate part from our standpoint of this case coming to fruition, in the sense that they kept on the case. Obviously, there were different administrations over the course of this investigation. And I sincerely believe that because of their insistence and persistence on this case, it ultimately led to a lot more pressure, a lot more resources being dedicated, and ultimately the arrest of my client. And then I also added the fact that going into this, most of us just know what we know from reading in the press. I've reviewed so many pages of discovery. I really feel like I know these individuals, these victims, and that's what I told the family. I really do think, even though I've never met them, I really do feel like I know them and I've met them, and I just wanted to know them to know that. That's it.
In the end, Rex Heuermann is going to die behind prison walls. And rest assured, the investigation into Rex Heuermann, it may be over as far as the Gilgo Beach murders go, but the investigation into Rex Heuermann is far from over. For the victims, the sentencing marks a turning point, a time when they can begin to move forward while remembering and honoring their loved ones.
I just want to say that having been given the opportunity to say what I said today, I feel a lot lighter and I have hope for healing. I just want to thank everyone who spent time on this case, listening to our voices and giving my mom and all these other ladies a chance to have their voices heard. This has been a long day coming, and from this day forward, stop saying his name, stop putting his face everywhere. Put the girl's face, put their names, and make it known that we are the ones who live on for them. Rex will never matter, and he is nothing to us, and it should be nothing to any of you.
So what happens to Rex Heuermann now? Well, he's going to be shipped off to a reception center with the New York State prison system. From there, he'll be shipped off to another maximum security prison. But the investigation into Rex Heuermann, it is far from over, and we'll keep an eye on it to let you know what happens. That's it for this episode of Crime Fix, coming to you from Suffolk County, Long Island. I'm Anjanette Levy. I'll see you back here next time.
Okay, I unmuted myself for once. So I have something I want to show you that's just, as I said, a palate cleanser. Hang on. I don't know. Marmalade reminded me. And I know Derek enjoys this, and a lot of you may know it. It's a channel that is mostly about a cat named Waffles, who is very easily irritated, which I personally don't understand.
On May 14th, 2020.
This is a compilation of different things that annoyed Waffles. I rewind the beginning. Okay. Waffles is a real loudmouth. Oh, good, Em and Emily.
You're making health insurance more expensive for everyone else. Yeah, well, you know what else drives up premium?
No, can you stop?
No, not at all. Oh my gosh, no, that'd be fine.
This is Waffles, the cat.
She'll be going home now.
Very opinionated. Yeah, Maple cannot catch a break.
No.
Hey, Polynomial. They cuddle too, the cat and the dog, but not as often. And Waffles doesn't like it to get a lot of coverage.
Ow!
What? What?
Waffles nonstop complaining.
State police. Yeah, there's somebody after me.
What I was saying is that was the palate cleanser. Now we're going to watch something about Shannon Gilbert, the woman who was believed, although I know some of you said that you think that she was a victim of his. I'm not sure, but it's very possible. Thank you, Carolina. Yeah. And it was her mother who spearheaded the entire investigation, pathetic as that is. So we'll learn about her a little bit, and then we'll learn the video about her mother is like 2 minutes long, but I haven't seen it, but I assume it's enough to just gives us the information of what happened to her.
I'm sorry? There's somebody after me.
That was Shannon Gilbert calling 911 on Long Island in May 2010. She would be found 17 months later in a marshy area nearby. Her family has fought for years for answers about what happened to her. Those calls only growing louder since the arrest of Rex Heuermann, the man accused of murdering 3 women and dumping their bodies on Long Island's Gilgo Beach. The attorney for Gilbert's family is here with the latest on the search for answers in Shannon Gilbert's death. I'm Anjanette Levy, and this is a special edition of Crime Fix, where we're looking at the case of Shannon Gilbert, a sex worker who died on Long Island in 2010. The search for Shannon Gilbert led to the gruesome discovery of 4 women's bodies on Gilgo Beach in 2010. Those 4 women, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Amber Costello, Megan Waterman, and Melissa Bartholomew, became known as the Gilgo Four. Their bodies wrapped in camouflage burlap and dumped on a stretch of Ocean Parkway. All of the women had been bound with tape or belts. All 4 were escorts who'd gone missing in 2009 and 2010. After finding the bodies, police knew there was a serial killer on the loose. Shannon's case, though, was tough. It was a bit different. She was an escort like the other women, but she wasn't found in the same way. Suffolk County Police described that evening in a video posted in May of 2022.
Shannon Gilbert, a Craigslist sex worker and resident of Jersey City, New Jersey, traveled from Manhattan to meet a client, Joseph Brewer, at his home at 8 The Fairway, Oak Beach, New York. Shannon was driven to Oak Beach from Manhattan by her driver, Michael Pack. Neither one was familiar with the area. Neither one had been there before.
Shannon Gilbert called 911 from Joseph Brewer's home after being there for a little while.
There's somebody after me.
Okay, where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you,
Yes,
ma'am?
he does have a
I
type.
don't know.
You're driving right now?
Small.
No, I'm inside the house.
I'm sorry?
I'm inside the house.
What house?
I don't know. Can you trace where I am?
I'm sorry?
Can you trace where I am?
No, I can't.
You have 15 cats?
At one point, you can hear Joseph Brewer and Shannon Gilbert's driver, Michael Pack, trying to talk to her on the 911 call.
Somebody's after me. Please.
Are you in Suffolk County or Nassau County?
This is exactly what I
I'm
think.
in Long Island.
Where on Long Island are you?
No.
And they have not, I think there are hundreds of girls to
It's a
still be
little hard
found.
to understand some of what's being said, but what is clear is that the client, Joseph Brewer, wants Shannon Gilbert to leave his home, and her driver, Michael Pack, is trying to get her to do just that as the 911 call taker tries to figure out Shannon's location.
Thank you, BC.
What's the matter? Are you okay? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Thank you very much.
Why?
Fuck you on the steak and fuck you on the potatoes.
I don't know. But it was transferred to me.
Why? What are you gonna tell me?
I think it's Suffolk County on the Suffolk County
Why are you gonna
call Suffolk
Thank you, Em and Emily. I didn't realize this was a super chat. I thought you were just filling us in on your niece. I'm very excited for your visit. Take pictures. I'm sure you will. Thank you.
Nowhere.
Shannon Gilbert ran from Joseph Brewer's house to another house owned by a man named Gus Coletti. Shannon arrived at Gus Coletti's house and he tried to help her.
Somebody with you? Huh? Hello? Hello?
Don't keep yourself hurt. Where are you going?
Shannon then ran away, and Gus Coletti called 911.
That's one of
Yes, I live at Oak Beach in the association. There's a young girl about 14 years old running around here screaming, and there's some guy trying to follow her.
Then a woman named Barbara Brennan called 911 after Shannon Gilbert began knocking on her door.
Some woman is knocking at my door.
What town are you in?
Oak Beach Association.
What's the nearest corner street now?
Ocean Parkway. She says she's in danger.
Do you know her or no?
No, I don't. I'm not letting her in.
What happened to Shannon Gilbert after that remains a mystery. Suffolk County Police believe she ran into a marshy area next to the Oak Beach Association neighborhood. Her remains were found there.
It's hard to tell because also her driver was following her. So it's hard to know who was following her.
17 months later, along with her personal belongings. Police said that they believe she drowned. A video posted by police shows us what that marshy area is like.
This is drone footage and footage shot from the ground showing the marshland. It was taken at the same time of year and time of day as when Shannon went missing. These reeds can grow over 12 feet tall. They can disorient someone inside them, causing them to lose a sense of direction. One cannot tell where the highway is or where the bay is.
Suffolk County Police believe that Shannon ran along that trench created to control mosquitoes. Her personal belongings were found north of the trench, and her remains found near Ocean Parkway. The head of detectives said the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit does not believe Shannon was murdered.
BAU's opinion, based on their review of Shannon's case, the scene, the 911 calls, and a psychiatrist review, is that Shannon Gilbert's death is not consistent with Shannon being the victim of violence or of a violent offender. Significant differences between Shannon's death and the circumstances surrounding the other victims' deaths were also highlighted by BAU. The Suffolk County Police Department is open to evaluate any evidence to be able to help us and all involved determine a definite cause of death.
Suffolk County Police have said that they believe Shannon Gilbert's death was an unfortunate accident. But the detectives have said they're open to seeing evidence and information that helps determine exactly how she died. But the attorney representing the Gilbert family, John Ray, isn't buying the accident explanation.
Problem with the whole theory is very simple. It's absurd. It's not even close. And it's absurd for at least the reason that if you listen carefully to the detective, they have not a scintilla of evidence that she died of a tragic accident.
Right now, Shannon Gilbert's death is listed as undetermined. A private autopsy performed by Dr. Michael Bodden, hired by the family of Shannon Gilbert, said that she died as the result of being strangled.
We saw that the little hyoid bone, the bone in the neck, that if a woman is strangled, it's fractured. It was fractured. And Bodden declared that her killing was consistent, her death was consistent with homicide.
At times, Shannon Gilbert sounds like she might be unaware of her surroundings. Had she possibly used drugs that night, causing her to become disoriented?
They have no evidence of a drug use by her whatsoever. Brewer denies that there was any drugs. Pack denies that there were any drugs that she used that night. And when you listen to her, sometimes you hear that kind of dreamy-like voice. That's how she spoke in life. And, maybe she was using something, but nothing hallucinatory, nothing irrational. Her behavior was perfectly rational.
There's another strange twist in all of this. A man who lived in that neighborhood where Shannon went missing, Dr. Peter Hackett, called Shannon Gilbert's mother shortly after she went missing and claimed he had treated her and that he ran a wayward home for girls. That created a strange twist for police to deal with. Hackett has actually been discredited as somebody who inserts himself into situations, possibly looking for attention. Shannon Gilbert's family felt that Suffolk County Police didn't take the search for her seriously enough at first, costing precious time. Suffolk County Police officials have not indicated that they believe that Rex Heuermann is a suspect in Shannon Gilbert's death.
But Nikki Brass, a former sex worker who claimed she went on a date with Rex Heuermann, said that she and Heuermann discussed Shannon Gilbert on their one and only meeting.
So they speculated, and both of them agreed that Shannon Gilbert had been murdered. And then he went on to say she was probably killed via a killing party, was the phrase, where people at the party left and then a group stayed and selected Shannon and murdered her. That was his opinion. Now, if that opinion came from you or from me, just an opinion. If it comes from him, it could be more than an opinion. Could also just be one.
Earlier in the fall, John Ray appeared at a press conference with former Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison. They revealed information that they had received about a possible connection between Shannon Gilbert and Rex Heuermann from a banker who was moonlighting as a taxi driver in the fall of 2009.
She's called to go to that place, and that there's a girl awaiting her who's locked in a bathroom and will come out if she flashes her lights and beeps the horn. And she goes there and does that several times. It doesn't work. But then suddenly a giant man who fits the description of Rex Heuermann comes out, and he's covering his face with his arms so he can't be seen, and he runs to a van or an SUV right nearby that's parked right there. She continues to flash her lights and beep her horn, and out comes a girl crying, shaking, very upset, and gets in her car. This girl turns out to be Shannon Gilbert.
Joining me to discuss the very latest in the case is somebody who's been involved in it for many, many years. He's John Ray. He represents the family of Shannon Gilbert and other families who are believed to be victims of the Long Island serial killer. So, John, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. What is the very latest that you can tell us? I know that we last kind of saw you when you were discussing how there had potentially been this interaction between Shannon Gilbert and Rex Heuermann many, many, many years ago.
Well, yes, that's all true. There's been other developments by way of new evidence that's come to me since I last presented evidence with the commissioner of the Suffolk County Police Department, Rodney Harrison. So I have new information. I can only imagine that the police do as well. So the grand jury still remains sitting on the case regarding Heuermann. It could, for all we know, the grand jury has the ability to explore anything and could be looking at other people and other things as well. In the case, we don't know. That's all secret. So what I have is a secret if I make it so or not. And everything I get, eventually I share it with the proper authorities, including the police, with the permission of the people who come forward to me and give me information. If they don't give me permission, I don't reveal it. If they don't want their names revealed, I won't.
What do you have, John? Do you have anything that you can reveal?
Well, yeah, in a very broad sense, I can. Several people, numerous people, I should say, have come forward to speak with me about what they know in the entire case since October 18th, when I went public with two of the witnesses, along with Rodney Harrison. And since then, I guess that show and that press conference triggered a lot more interest on the part of people who were, hanging in the background, maybe didn't want to remember what was, bad for them and so on. But a variety of people have contacted me since then from all different walks of life and geographic places who had an involvement with Rex Heuermann or with some of the people associated with him. And some of them may even affect the case of Shannon Gilbert right now.
John Ray says two of the witnesses have signed affidavits, and the information they've provided has been turned over to the Suffolk County Police and the Gilgo Beach Task Force. People continue to reach out to him to provide information, which he turns over to law enforcement if the witnesses authorize him to do so.
Whether there's any connection between Shannon Gilbert's death and Rex Heuermann, that remains to be seen. Ray is skeptical, though, of Heuermann's wife, Asa Ellerup. Police have said in court documents that Ellerup was out of town when the three women, Melissa Barthelemy, Amber Costello, and Megan Waterman, were killed. However, Ellerup's DNA, specifically her hair, was found on the victims. Ellerup filed for divorce shortly after Heuermann's arrest, her attorney telling me she did so to protect herself financially. Now she and her children are working with Peacock exclusively on a documentary about the case, and they're reportedly receiving $1 million to do so.
That's triggered a lot of interest and Boomerang. And while she initially had all the sympathy of open-minded, so to speak, Americans who said, the poor woman, she's probably a victim too. And I said that wasn't true. I always said that. And I still maintain that. Now when she's managed to behave in the way she has, after pretending to divorce her husband, showing up at court and smiling back and forth at each other, and then getting all this money, using this as a money grab. The woman, as I said before, is a ghoul feeding on the dead. That's changed the opinion roundly of her in America and what she's doing. Perhaps that change will affect the investigation. I hope it does, because I think she has real problems.
The grand jury investigation into the murders on Gilgo Beach is ongoing, and it's secret. There's been no word on whether there have been any new developments in Shannon Gilbert's case, or whether Suffolk County Police have changed their minds in thinking that Shannon's death was an accident. John Ray represents several of the victims' families, and he'd like to see some further investigation to see whether Heuermann is connected to Shannon or anyone else.
We don't know when those girls were killed. We know when they disappeared. So were they kept somewhere for a while before they were killed? This is a man who's a stalker, a psycho stalker, and a devoted stalker. Is this the kind of guy that would necessarily kill them, his prey right away, or hold them, tease them, torture them? As we know, they were tortured. So when were they killed? Was she still on vacation? When were they moved to where they ended up? How long did the bodies remain there? We don't know. Nobody knows. The DA can't know that unless somebody told him so.
It's important to note that Suffolk County Police have never, ever called Asa Ellerup a suspect, and Rex Heuermann has denied involvement in the murders through his lawyer. Anyone with information about Shannon Gilbert's death can call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-220-TIPS. That's it for this special edition of Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Thanks so much for joining us. We will see you back here tomorrow night. Until then, have a great night.
A grisly murder for a family already torn apart by tragedy. The mother of Gilgo Beach victim Shannon Gilbert found stabbed to death inside her home, and one of her own daughters is accused of the crime.
This is
CBS
mother.
2's Brian Conybeare has the story.
One family hit by two horrific crimes, the latest inside this Ulster County apartment house.
They catch the person or persons involved in Shannon's murder. Then they will also connect the other murders to Gilgo Beach, and we could stop a serial killer.
Mary Gilbert's mission was to find the serial killer she believed murdered her daughter Shannon on Long Island. But now the 52-year-old herself has been murdered, allegedly by another one of her daughters, Sarah Gilbert.
Think about it, a mother being murdered by her own child? Can there be anything that you can consider more horrible than that?
John Ray is the Gilbert family attorney. He's been trying to help solve Shannon Gilbert's 2010 murder. The 24-year-old was working as an escort when she disappeared. Her body found in the brush near Gilgo Beach, Long Island, sparking a gruesome search that turned up 10 more victims, many of them sex workers like Shannon. 3 years ago, Sarah Gilbert spoke to CBS News about her sister's dangerous profession.
She pretty much thought that, it would never happen to her.
27-year-old Sarah Gilbert and her mother lived in separate apartments here at 9 Warren Street in Ellenville. Police say just after 2 p.m. Saturday, Mary was found dead in Sarah's apartment.
Mary was invited into Sarah's home, and in the living room, she was knifed to death.
Attorney John Ray says Sarah is schizophrenic, in and out of mental hospitals, and turned violent in recent months, even threatening to kill her 8-year-old son.
No, that's tragic. That's sad.
Sonny is a neighbor who knows Sarah and says everyone was surprised when she was released from a psychiatric hospital.
They let her go out, and not 3 months after that, she does this.
Sarah Gilbert is charged with second-degree murder in her mother's death, but no one has ever been arrested in her sister's killing 6 years ago. Reporting from Ellenville, Ulster County, Brian Conybeare, CBS 2 News.
Caught on.
Sorry.
This is a different one, and then we'll call it a night.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll lay here.
Nasty.
Waffles. What?
Can I do this? Can I? Just want real quick. It's gonna be fast.
Good night, Hair Bouillon. We're going to be saying goodnight in a second, too. Thanks for joining. I mean,
Waffles.
Waffles is a male cat, too, which is surprising to me.
Can you be nice? Well,
Oh, really,
he
Gypsy?
still has that paw on you.
Yeah, Waffles is the cat.
Waffles.
Oh, you want to do Banfield sentencing? We can. I'll set that up for the next one.
Buddy.
Let me write it down because.
Hey.
I think you may have asked, and I said yes, and forgot all about it. I'll set it up after this for next week. Wow. Yeah, he really is quite something. He really. I always think it's a sheep for obvious reasons, but no. Thank you for being here, Anne. And thank you for your comment on the header video, if I didn't thank you already. I mean, what a loudmouth. Runs a very tight ship. I knew you would. Bouillon. I know. Don't feel bad for the doggy though, because they also have some videos of
Can you stop?
them cuddling and stuff. And good night, Tabby.
You know what? She better stop that. She'll be going home now.
Is someone watching us?
No.
not so many feelings, just one really. Hi, Ohio Palm Mom again. Yeah, Miyagi. No, this is forever. I haven't. Is he a good palate cleanser? Because we can watch him next time. I'm making note of it.
What? What?
Too many interviews. You are sad. You are beaten down. You will get through this. Come home. Get in your big underpants and take a nap.
Most of them are short. Their posts. I guess we're rewatching that one now. Hang on. Okay. All right. As usual, this was very fun. Thank you for hanging out with me. I was really looking forward to it. I'm going to try to figure out another time so I can do 2 lives a week, because I feel like a week feels long. Even though the days drag on, everything somehow still goes by very quickly. Yeah, dogs want to play constantly. Remember to kiss your fingers. Thank you for being here, Miyagi, and everyone. I will see you very, very soon, sexy people.